In the ancient teachings, there is a profound understanding that the mind is the forerunner of all states, the chief, and the creator of our world. When we harbor a thought that is heavy with resentment, envy, or a desire to see another stumble, we might feel safe in the belief that since no one hurt us, no harm was done. However, if you hold a hot coal in your hand with the intention of throwing it at someone else, your own palm is the very first thing that suffers the burn. The intention itself, that flicker of heat in the soul, is the true birth of action. Even if the hand never moves, the heart has already tasted the bitterness of the fire. There was once a young man who lived during the time of the Enlightened One, a seeker who was very diligent in his physical actions. He walked softly, he spoke kindly, and he never laid a finger on a living being to cause them pain. Yet, he found himself constantly exhausted, feeling as though he were carrying a mountain on his back even when he was sitting perfectly still in meditation. He went to a wise elder and asked why his soul felt so heavy when his hands were so clean. The elder looked at him with great compassion and asked him to describe what he saw when he closed his eyes. The young man admitted that while he was polite to his neighbors, in his mind, he was often judging them, wishing they would fail so that he could feel superior, and imagining unkind retorts to their simple questions. The elder explained that a house can look beautiful from the outside, with white walls and bright flowers, but if there is a fire smoldering in the basement, the structure is still being weakened from within. Our thoughts are not just fleeting clouds, they are the architectural drawings of our future selves. Every time a shadow of ill will passes through the mind and we choose to nourish it, to let it stay and grow warm, we are weaving a thread into the fabric of our being. This is why the concept of karma, or the law of cause and effect, begins much earlier than the physical act. It begins the very moment the will is formed. If you think about a river, you see that the water flows where the terrain dictates. Our habitual thoughts are like the grooves in the earth that guide the water. If we constantly think with greed or anger, we are digging deep trenches in our own consciousness. When the rains of life come, our emotions will naturally flow into those dark channels, making it harder and harder to change direction. Therefore, an unexpressed thought of malice is like a drop of ink in a clear glass of water. Even if you do not drink the water, the clarity is gone, and the nature of the liquid has changed. The beauty of this understanding is not to make us feel guilty or afraid of our own minds, but to empower us with the realization that we are the masters of our inner landscape. Everyone has stray thoughts that are not pleasant, for the mind is like a busy street where all kinds of travelers pass through. The key is not in the passing of the traveler, but in whether or not we invite them in for dinner and ask them to stay the night. When an unkind thought arises, if we recognize it as a guest that does not belong, we can let it go without it leaving a permanent mark. There is a story of a merchant who was very successful, but he was plagued by a rival who always seemed to stay one step ahead. In his quiet moments, the merchant would imagine the rival's ship sinking, his warehouses burning, and his reputation falling into ruin. The merchant never acted on these thoughts. He was a law-abiding citizen who paid his taxes and treated his staff well. But as the years went by, the merchant became a bitter and suspicious man. He lost the ability to trust his friends, he could no longer enjoy the taste of his food, and his sleep was haunted by the very disasters he had wished upon another. His ill will, though never translated into a physical crime, had committed a crime against his own peace. He had created a mental environment where only thorns could grow. This is the subtle energy of intention. The universe does not just respond to the movement of our limbs, it resonates with the frequency of our intentions. When we wish for the suffering of another, we are vibrating at the frequency of suffering, and so, we become the primary residents of that pain. During the Buddha's time, there was a man named Upali who was deeply interested in the nature of discipline and the mind. He once asked if a person who accidentally steps on an insect is as responsible as a person who does it on purpose. The answer was a gentle reminder that the heart of the matter is the intent. If there is no will to harm, the seed of karma is not planted in the same way. Conversely, if there is a powerful will to harm, yet the opportunity never arises to carry it out, the mind has still undergone a process of darkening. Consider the air in a room where someone has been cooking with pungent spices. Even after the food is gone and the stove is cold, the scent lingers in the curtains and the walls. Our thoughts are the spices of our life. If we cook with the spices of kindness, our presence becomes a fragrance that others want to be near. If we cook with the spices of malice, we carry that scent with us wherever we go, even if we never serve a single plate. This is why the practice of watching the mind is so vital. It is like being a gatekeeper at a great city. You do not have to fight every person who tries to enter, you simply have to choose which ones you allow to settle down and build a home. If you see a thought of jealousy approaching, you can acknowledge it, see it for what it is, and then gently point it toward the exit. By doing this, you prevent the thought from becoming an obsession, and you stop it from turning into the kind of heavy energy that we call bad karma. Many people believe that karma is a system of punishment administered by a higher power, but it is actually more like a law of physics. If you plant a mango seed, you get a mango tree. If you plant a seed of resentment in the fertile soil of the mind, you will eventually harvest the fruit of agitation and unrest. The mind is a mirror, and every thought is an image reflected upon it. If the image is distorted, the mirror itself is not harmed, but the world we see through it becomes crooked and confusing. There is a certain lightness that comes when we realize that we can begin to heal our lives just by changing the quality of our secret thoughts. We do not need a grand stage or a great deal of money to practice goodness. We can practice it in the silence of our own breathing. When we see someone succeeding and we choose, even for a second, to feel glad for them instead of envious, we have performed a miracle of the heart. We have planted a seed of light that will eventually brighten our own path. In one of the old accounts, there was a king who was known for his vast charity, yet he felt no joy in his giving. He gave because he thought it was his duty, and because he wanted to be remembered as a great ruler. At the same time, a poor woman who had nothing but a handful of flower petals would offer them at a shrine with a heart so full of pure love and genuine wishing for the welfare of all beings that her simple act outshone the king's gold. The king's gold was a physical act with a hollow center, while the woman's flowers were a small act with a radiant core. This shows us that the weight of an action is determined by the depth of the thought behind it. A small act of kindness fueled by a powerful, pure intention is far more transformative than a massive gesture done for the sake of vanity. We are essentially the sum of our intentions. If we take care of the thoughts, the actions will take care of themselves. A tree with healthy roots will naturally produce good fruit, it does not have to struggle or force itself to be productive. If we find ourselves trapped in a cycle of negative thinking, it is helpful to remember that the mind is very much like a garden that has been neglected. There may be many weeds, and the soil may be hard, but it is never too late to begin tending to it. We start by noticing. We notice when a sharp thought arises about a coworker, or a judgmental thought about a stranger on the street. We do not have to hate ourselves for having these thoughts, for that would only be adding more negativity to the pile. Instead, we can look at the thought with curiosity, as if it were a strange insect that has landed on our arm. We can say to ourselves, "Oh, there is a thought of anger, how interesting." By creating that small distance, we are no longer the anger, we are the observer of the anger. In that space of observation, the power of the thought begins to wither. It is only when we identify with the thought, when we say, "I am angry," that the thought gains the power to create karma. When we see it as just a passing phenomenon, it loses its ability to root itself in our consciousness. There is a story about a monk who was traveling through a forest and encountered a man who was very agitated and full of hateful words. The monk did not react, he simply continued to walk with a peaceful expression. Later, a disciple asked him how he could remain so calm when someone was wishing him such ill fortune. The monk replied that if someone offers you a gift and you do not accept it, to whom does the gift belong? The disciple said it belongs to the one who tried to give it. In the same way, the monk explained, the hateful thoughts of that man were his own burden, because I did not allow them to enter my own mind and take root. This illustrates that we are not only responsible for our own thoughts, but we are also the masters of which external energies we choose to absorb. When we stay grounded in a state of goodwill, the malicious intentions of others find no place to land. It is like trying to throw a handful of dust against a high wind, the dust only blows back into the face of the one who threw it. Our mental state is our greatest shield and our most powerful tool for creating a life of harmony. People often ask if a fleeting thought of anger is as bad as a long-held grudge. Of course, the intensity and the duration matter. A brief spark that is quickly extinguished does not have the same destructive potential as a fire that is fed with wood and fanned by the wind for many days. However, even a spark can start a forest fire if the conditions are right. That is why it is so important to cultivate a mind that is moist with the waters of compassion, so that the sparks of anger find no dry tinder to ignite. Every time we choose a thought of patience over a thought of frustration, we are training our brain and our spirit to lean toward the light. It is a slow process, much like the way a drop of water eventually carves a canyon through solid rock. We may not see the changes day by day, but over the years, the landscape of our character becomes something entirely different. We become people who are naturally kind, not because we are trying to follow a rule, but because our inner world has become a place where only kindness feels comfortable. Sometimes, we might feel that our thoughts are justified. We think, that person treated me unfairly, so I have every right to wish them ill. While it may be true that an injustice occurred, holding on to the ill will is like drinking poison and expecting the other person to die. The universe does not care who started it, it only responds to the current state of your heart. If you are holding on to anger, you are the one living in a state of war. True freedom is the ability to look at an enemy and wish them well, not because they deserve it, but because you deserve peace. When you release the desire for revenge, you are breaking a karmic bond that would have kept you tied to that person for a long time. You are choosing to walk away from the battlefield and enter a garden of your own making. This is the highest form of self-care. In the ancient stories, there were beings who could see the auras of others, and they described the thoughts of a person as colors that swirled around them. A person filled with loving kindness would be surrounded by a soft, golden light, while someone filled with malice would be shrouded in a murky, dark fog. Even if we cannot see these colors with our physical eyes, we can certainly feel them. We all know what it is like to walk into a room where someone is brooding in silent anger. Even if they are not saying anything, the air feels heavy and uncomfortable. On the other hand, being near someone who is genuinely peaceful and well-wishing is like sitting in the sun on a spring day. Our thoughts are a broadcast that the world receives on a subconscious level. If we want to live in a world that is kind and supportive, we must first make sure that our internal broadcast is one of kindness and support. We cannot expect to harvest grapes from a field where we have only sown thorns. This is the simple, yet profound reality of how our mental world shapes our physical experience. When we talk about whether evil thoughts create karma, we must understand that karma is not a ledger of sins kept by a judge in the sky. It is a process of self-conditioning. Every thought is a vote for the person we are becoming. If we vote for anger today, it will be easier to be angry tomorrow. If we vote for understanding, we are building the muscle of wisdom. The action of the body is just the final expression of a long series of mental choices. Think of a river that is polluted at its source. No matter how much you try to clean the water at the mouth of the river, it will continue to be dirty as long as the source is contaminated. The source of all our actions is the mind. To live a life of integrity and peace, we must go to the source and ensure that the water there is clear. This doesn't mean we have to be perfect, for to be human is to have a mind that is sometimes messy and confused. It means we have to be honest and willing to keep cleaning the source. If we have spent many years harboring dark thoughts, we might feel overwhelmed by the task of changing. But the past is only a memory, it has no power over the present moment unless we give it power. Each new breath is an opportunity to start over. If the last hour was filled with judgment, this hour can be filled with acceptance. The slate is wiped clean the moment we make a sincere turn toward the light. There is a story of a woman who felt she had committed a great mental sin because she felt a secret joy when a neighbor she disliked lost a precious item. She felt that this secret joy made her a terrible person, and she couldn't forgive herself. She spoke to a wise teacher who told her that her guilt was actually a sign of her goodness. If she were truly an evil person, she wouldn't care that she felt joy at another's loss. The fact that she felt bad meant that her underlying nature was one of compassion. The teacher told her to treat that secret joy like a weed in her garden. You don't have to burn down the whole garden because you found a weed, you just have to pull it out and plant a flower in its place. He suggested that every time she thought of her neighbor, she should quietly wish for that person to find something even better than what they had lost. By doing this, she was actively overriding the old, negative pattern with a new, positive one. This is the path of mental transformation. It is not about being perfect, but about being persistent. It is about choosing, over and over again, to return to a state of goodwill. When we do this, we are not just avoiding bad karma, we are actively creating a beautiful future for ourselves and for everyone we encounter. We are becoming a source of light in a world that often feels very dark. Every thought we have is like a stone thrown into a pond. The ripples go out and they eventually come back to us. If we throw stones of anger, the ripples will be choppy and turbulent. If we throw stones of peace, the ripples will be smooth and serene. We are the ones who have to live in the water, so it only makes sense to keep the ripples as calm as possible. So, when we ask if evil thoughts create karma, the answer is a resounding yes, but not in a way that should make us live in fear. It is a call to mindfulness, a call to realize the incredible power we hold within our own consciousness. We are the artists of our lives, and our thoughts are the brushstrokes. Every moment is a chance to paint something beautiful, something that brings comfort and joy not just to ourselves, but to the entire universe. When we look at the life of the Buddha, we see someone who had completely mastered his mind. He was able to face the most difficult situations with a heart that remained unshaken. This was not because he was indifferent, but because he had cultivated a state of being where ill will had no place to hide. He saw everyone, from the highest king to the lowliest beggar, with the same eyes of compassion. He knew that everyone is fighting a hard battle, and everyone is governed by the same laws of the mind. By following his example, we can learn to be more patient with ourselves and others. We can learn to see our thoughts as tools that we can use to build a better world. We can choose to be the person who brings a little more light into the room, simply by holding a kind thought in our heart. This is the true meaning of spiritual practice. It is the quiet, invisible work of turning shadows into light. As we move through our day, let us be mindful of the silent conversations we are having with ourselves. Let us notice the stories we tell about the people we meet. Are these stories filled with judgment and suspicion, or are they filled with understanding and hope? By choosing the latter, we are creating a karmic momentum that will carry us toward a life of genuine happiness. It is important to remember that we do not have to do this alone. We are all part of a vast web of life, and our positive thoughts contribute to the collective well-being of everyone. When you find peace within yourself, you are making it a little easier for everyone else to find peace too. Your quiet transformation is a gift to the world, a ripple of grace that extends far beyond what you can imagine. There was once a community that lived near a very noisy and chaotic city. Most people there were stressed and angry, and they often fought over small things. But in the middle of this community, there was a small group of people who decided to practice holding only thoughts of goodwill for their neighbors. They didn't say anything about it, they just went about their lives with a quiet, internal focus on kindness. Slowly, the atmosphere in that neighborhood began to change. People found themselves feeling a little calmer when they walked down that particular street. They didn't know why, but the air felt different. Arguments became less frequent, and people started helping each other more. The silent, mental work of a few people had created a field of peace that influenced everyone around them. This is the power of the mind. It is a subtle force, but it is more powerful than any physical weapon. An evil thought is a seed of destruction, but a kind thought is a seed of creation. We have the choice, every single moment, which one we want to plant. And as we plant, so shall we reap. The harvest is always a reflection of the seeds we have chosen to carry in the secret places of our hearts. So, let us be gentle with our minds, and let us be diligent in our care for them. Let us treat our thoughts with the same respect we would give to a precious heirloom. For indeed, our mind is the most precious thing we own, it is the source of our joy, our peace, and our very destiny. When we care for it well, everything else in our life will naturally fall into place, and we will find ourselves walking on a path that is lined with flowers and bathed in the soft, warm light of wisdom. Think of the way a musician tunes an instrument. If the strings are too tight, they will snap, and if they are too loose, they will not produce a beautiful sound. Our thoughts need to be tuned to the frequency of harmony. We need to find that balance where we are alert and mindful, but also relaxed and compassionate. This tuning is a daily practice, a moment-by-moment adjustment that keeps us in tune with the natural rhythm of the universe. When we are in tune, our life becomes a beautiful melody that brings comfort to those who hear it. Even when we are silent, our presence speaks of the peace we have found within. This is the ultimate goal of understanding the nature of thought and karma. It is not about avoiding punishment, but about becoming a source of beauty and harmony. As we sit together in this space of reflection, let us take a moment to simply breathe and let go of any heavy thoughts we might be carrying. Let us imagine them dissolving like mist in the morning sun. Let us replace them with a simple wish for the happiness of all beings, including ourselves. In this simple act of wishing well, we are creating a powerful, positive karma that will sustain us and guide us on our journey. There is no thought too small to matter, and no intention too hidden to have an effect. We are the creators of our own experience, and the tools of creation are right here, within our own minds. Let us use them with wisdom, with love, and with a deep sense of responsibility for the beautiful world we are building, one thought at a time. The path is long, but it is also very beautiful. There will be days when the mind is stormy and difficult to manage, and that is okay. On those days, we can simply be the patient observer of the storm, knowing that it will pass. We can hold ourselves with the same kindness we would show to a frightened child. And when the storm clears, we will find that we are a little stronger, a little wiser, and a little more capable of holding the light. Every step we take in the direction of a pure mind is a victory. Every time we choose to let go of an evil thought, we are performing an act of great courage. We are choosing a different way of being, a way that leads to a deep and lasting peace. This is the true work of a human life, the work that happens in the silence, in the spaces between our breaths, in the secret depths of our souls. Let us continue this journey with a heart that is open and a mind that is clear. Let us be the ones who bring the fragrance of kindness into every room we enter. Let us be the ones who choose the path of light, knowing that every thought of love is a step toward a world where everyone can feel safe, loved, and at peace. In the great story of the universe, our thoughts are the ink that writes the chapters of our lives. Let us write a story that is worth telling, a story of transformation, of hope, and of the incredible power of a mind that has chosen to be kind. This is the legacy we leave behind, the invisible footprint of our soul on the sands of time. When we understand this, the world becomes a very different place. We no longer see ourselves as victims of circumstance, but as conscious participants in a grand and beautiful process. We see that everything we think matters, and that we have the power to change our world from the inside out. This is the greatest freedom of all, the freedom to choose who we want to be, right here and right now. Let us embrace this freedom with joy and with gratitude. Let us be mindful of the seeds we plant, and let us look forward to the beautiful harvest that is sure to come. For when the mind is pure, joy follows it like a shadow that never leaves. This is the promise of the teachings, and it is a promise that we can experience for ourselves, every single day. As we reflect on the power of our thoughts, we might also consider how our inner world affects the way we see the world outside. Have you ever noticed how, on a day when you are feeling particularly happy and at peace, everyone you meet seems to be more friendly and helpful? It is as if the world is reflecting your own internal state back to you. Conversely, when we are carrying a heavy load of frustration, even the simplest things can feel like a personal attack. This is not just a coincidence, it is a manifestation of how our mental energy shapes our perception. When our minds are clouded by negative thoughts, we tend to look for evidence that justifies our negativity. We focus on the flaws in others, we anticipate problems, and we miss the many small moments of beauty and kindness that are happening all around us. We are essentially living in a reality of our own construction, one that is built out of the bricks of our habitual thoughts. By becoming aware of our mental habits, we can begin to dismantle the walls that keep us isolated and unhappy. We can choose to look for the good in people, to expect the best from situations, and to focus on what we can give rather than what we can get. This shift in perspective is a powerful form of mental karma that creates a much more pleasant and supportive environment for us to live in. It is also important to recognize that our thoughts are influenced by the information we consume and the company we keep. If we spend all our time surrounded by people who are constantly complaining and judging others, it becomes much harder to maintain a positive mental state. Similarly, if we fill our minds with stories of conflict and violence, we are feeding the very seeds of ill will that we are trying to overcome. We can think of our minds as a reservoir of water. If we want the water to be clean, we must be careful about what we allow to flow into it. We can choose to spend time with people who inspire us, to read books that nourish our souls, and to engage in activities that bring us joy and peace. By doing this, we are creating a supportive environment for our mental transformation to take place. There was a story about two travelers who arrived at the gates of a new city. The first traveler asked the gatekeeper, "What are the people like in this city?" The gatekeeper asked, "What were they like in the city you just left?" The traveler replied, "They were terrible, they were dishonest, mean, and selfish." The gatekeeper nodded and said, "You will find the people here are exactly the same." The second traveler arrived and asked the same question. The gatekeeper asked, "What were the people like in the city you just left?" The traveler replied, "They were wonderful, they were kind, generous, and full of light." The gatekeeper smiled and said, "You will find the people here are exactly the same." This story beautifully illustrates how our internal world determines our external experience. The gatekeeper wasn't lying to either man, he was simply reflecting the reality that each man carried within himself. We see the world not as it is, but as we are. If we want to find a world full of kindness, we must first find that kindness within our own hearts. This is the essence of the path we are discussing. It is a journey from the inside out. It is the realization that we are not at the mercy of the world, but that we are the ones who give the world its color and its meaning. When we take responsibility for our thoughts, we are taking responsibility for our lives. As we go about our daily lives, let us try to be more like the second traveler. Let us look for the light in every person and the beauty in every situation. Let us practice holding thoughts of goodwill even for those who challenge us. For it is in those challenging moments that our practice truly counts. It is easy to be kind when everything is going well, but the real test of our character is how we think and feel when things are difficult. Every time we choose patience over anger, every time we choose understanding over judgment, we are building a foundation of inner peace that no external storm can ever shake. We are becoming like a deep lake, where the surface may be rippled by the wind, but the depths remain calm and still. This inner stillness is our greatest treasure, and it is something that no one can ever take away from us. Let us also remember that we are all works in progress. There will be times when we fail, when our thoughts get the better of us, and when we fall back into old patterns. When this happens, we must be careful not to fall into the trap of self-criticism and despair. Instead, we can simply acknowledge the mistake, learn from it, and then gently return to our practice. The path of mental transformation is not a straight line, it is a series of small, consistent efforts. It is the willingness to keep starting over, again and again, with a heart that is full of hope. Each time we return to a state of kindness, we are strengthening our resolve and making it easier to stay there the next time. There is a wonderful feeling of relief that comes when we stop carrying the heavy burden of ill will. It is like putting down a heavy suitcase that we have been lugging around for years. We feel lighter, more energized, and more open to the possibilities of life. We find that we have more room in our hearts for joy, for creativity, and for deep connections with others. This lightness of being is the natural result of a mind that is free from the toxins of negative intention. It is a state of grace that is available to everyone, regardless of their past or their current circumstances. All it requires is a sincere desire to change and the willingness to pay attention to the world within. Let us cultivate a sense of wonder about our own minds. Let us explore the vast potential for goodness that lies within us. Let us be curious about the ways in which our thoughts shape our reality, and let us be bold in our efforts to create a world that is more loving and compassionate. By doing this, we are not just helping ourselves, we are contributing to the healing of the entire world. Our positive thoughts are like seeds of peace that we are scattering everywhere we go. We may never know where these seeds will land or what kind of beautiful flowers they will produce, but we can trust that they will have an impact. In the grand tapestry of life, every thought is a thread, and every intention is a color. Let us weave a tapestry that is vibrant, beautiful, and full of light. Let us be the ones who choose the colors of kindness, of wisdom, and of love. This is the art of living, and it is a masterpiece that we are creating with every breath we take. As we draw this part of our conversation to a close, let us take a moment to simply be present with ourselves. Let us feel the warmth of our own hearts and the clarity of our own minds. Let us appreciate the incredible opportunity we have to be conscious, feeling beings who can choose our own path. May our thoughts be a source of comfort to ourselves and to all who cross our path. May we walk with a light step and a heart that is full of goodwill. And may we always remember that the power to create a beautiful life is right here, within us, in the silent and sacred space of our own thoughts. Think of a small child who is learning to walk. They fall down many times, but they always get back up and try again. They don't judge themselves for falling, they just keep their eyes on the goal. We should have that same kind of persistence and self-compassion as we learn to manage our minds. Each time we catch ourselves in a negative thought and choose to let it go, it is like taking a successful step forward. Eventually, the walking becomes natural, and then we learn to run. In the same way, the practice of kindness becomes more and more effortless until it becomes our natural way of being. We find that we are no longer trying to be good, we simply are good, because we have transformed the very roots of our character. This transformation is the greatest gift we can give to ourselves and to the world. It is a gift that keeps on giving, creating ripples of peace and joy that extend far into the future. So let us continue this beautiful work with a smile on our faces and a heart that is ready to embrace all of life with kindness and understanding. The journey continues, one thought at a time, one breath at a time. And with each step, we are moving closer to a state of profound and lasting peace. Let us enjoy the journey, and let us be grateful for the wisdom that guides us every step of the way. As we move forward, let us keep our inner lamp burning bright. Let us be the ones who light the way for others, not by telling them what to do, but by being a living example of the peace that is possible when we take care of our own minds. Our quiet presence can be a powerful force for good, a steady light in a world that can sometimes feel very dark and confusing. Let us be patient, let us be kind, and let us be mindful. These are the simple tools that will lead us to a life of true happiness and fulfillment. And as we use these tools, we will find that the world around us begins to transform in ways we never thought possible. So, with a heart full of hope and a mind focused on the light, let us continue our walk together. There is so much beauty to discover, and so much love to share. Every moment is a new beginning, a fresh chance to create the life of our dreams. Let us make the most of it, with every thought, every word, and every action. The story of our lives is being written right now, in the silent theater of our minds. Let us make it a story of triumph over darkness, of the power of kindness, and of the incredible resilience of the human spirit. This is the path of the wise, the path of the heart, and the path that leads to a world where everyone can truly be at home. In this journey, there is no need for hurry or for stress. We are exactly where we need to be, and everything is unfolding exactly as it should. All we have to do is stay present, stay mindful, and keep choosing the path of kindness. The rest will take care of itself, as the natural laws of the universe bring us the fruits of the seeds we have planted. Let us trust in the process, and let us trust in ourselves. We have everything we need to create a life of profound meaning and beauty. The power is within us, and the path is before us. Let us walk it with confidence and with joy, knowing that we are never alone, and that every thought of love is a step toward a brighter future for all. Every seed of thought carries a specific weight, a hidden energy that acts like a magnetic pull, drawing circumstances into our lives that match the quality of our internal dialogue. When we consider the deep layers of the mind, we begin to see that even the most fleeting intentions are not merely passive reflections, they are active forces that begin to rearrange the very molecules of our experience. Imagine a person who spends their days in a state of quiet, subtle dissatisfaction, constantly finding fault in the weather, the traffic, or the way a stranger walks across the street. This person may never shout or throw a stone, but their mental world is a landscape of constant friction, and as a result, they find that their physical life also seems to be full of small obstacles and irritations. There is an old story of a man who worked as a weaver, a craftsman who was known for his incredible skill and the beauty of his patterns. However, as he worked his loom, his mind was often filled with thoughts of how much more his neighbor was earning, and how unfair it was that he had to work so hard while others seemed to live in ease. He never spoke these thoughts aloud, he simply sat at his loom and wove his thread. Over time, the vibrant colors of his silk began to lose their luster, and the patterns became tangled and confused. When he looked at his work, he could not understand why his skill was failing him. A wise teacher who passed through the village noticed the man's furrowed brow and the tension in his shoulders. The teacher pointed out that the thread he was using was pure, but the hands that held the thread were guided by a heart that was knotted with envy. This illustrates that our creative power is directly linked to the purity of our focus. When our intentions are split between the work at hand and a hidden current of resentment, we cannot produce something that is truly harmonious. The karma of the thought is not a punishment that comes from the outside, it is the natural consequence of a divided mind. By harboring ill will, the weaver had created a mental environment where beauty could not flourish, and his physical craft was simply a mirror of that internal state. If we want to create a life that feels like a masterpiece, we must first make sure that our internal vision is clear and free from the shadows of comparison and spite. We often talk about the importance of being present, but being present is not enough if the quality of our presence is toxic. We can be fully present in our anger, or fully present in our greed, and this only serves to amplify those negative states. True mindfulness involves a gentle curiosity about the nature of our intentions, a willingness to look behind the curtain of our outward behavior. It is like being a scientist in a laboratory, observing the reactions that occur when we add a drop of bitterness to our mental brew. We can see how the energy in our body changes, how our breath becomes shallow, and how our perception of others becomes distorted. During the time when the teacher of light wandered the plains of India, there was a king who was obsessed with the idea of justice. He believed that he could create a perfect kingdom by enforcing strict laws and punishing every wrong action. Yet, despite his efforts, the kingdom was filled with fear and suspicion. One day, he met a wandering forest dweller who sat in perfect peace under a tree. The king asked how such peace was possible in a world so full of chaos. The forest dweller explained that the king was trying to clean a mirror by scrubbing the reflection, rather than the surface of the mirror itself. The laws of the land were the reflections, but the minds of the people were the surface. If the people's minds are filled with a desire to take what is not theirs, no law can truly prevent theft. If their hearts are full of a desire to harm, no punishment can truly bring peace. The true work of a ruler, or of any individual, is to cultivate a mental atmosphere where the desire for harm simply does not arise. This is the profound shift from a life of external control to a life of internal mastery. When we understand that our thoughts are the blueprint for our actions, we stop worrying so much about the symptoms and start focusing on the cause. We realize that an evil thought is not just a mistake, it is a missed opportunity to plant a seed of peace. Consider the way a musician practices their scales. They don't just do it once and then forget about it, they do it every day to build muscle memory and to refine their ear. Our thoughts are no different. Every time we catch ourselves in a moment of judgment and consciously choose to let it go, we are refining our spiritual ear. We are training ourselves to hear the subtle dissonance of negative intention before it turns into a loud and destructive action. This constant tuning is what creates the foundation for a life of effortless virtue. We become the kind of person who does good not because we are trying to be a saint, but because we have lost the taste for anything else. There is a certain dignity in the privacy of our own minds. It is the only place where we are truly free to be ourselves, away from the expectations and judgments of society. However, this freedom comes with a great responsibility. If we use this private space to indulge in fantasies of revenge or superiority, we are essentially building a prison for ourselves. The walls of this prison are made of our own repetitive thoughts, and the bars are forged from our own refusal to forgive. We might think that we are punishing the person who wronged us by keeping our anger alive, but in reality, we are the ones sitting in the dark, while the other person is often completely unaware of our struggle. Forgiveness is not something we do for the sake of the other person, it is a gift we give to our own soul. It is the act of deciding that our peace is more important than our right to be angry. When we release a negative intention, we are literally clearing the air around us. We are allowing the energy that was tied up in resentment to be used for something creative and life-affirming. This is the ultimate form of self-liberation. It is the realization that no one can make us miserable without our mental consent. We have the power to choose our response to every situation, and that response begins in the silent depths of our intention. Think about the ripples on a pond once more. If you throw a stone into the water, the ripples move outward until they reach the edge, and then they bounce back toward the center. Our thoughts work in a similar way. The intentions we send out into the world eventually find their way back to us, often in unexpected forms. If we send out thoughts of protection and well-wishing for others, we find that we ourselves feel more protected and supported. It is as if we have created an invisible field of goodwill that buffers us against the harshness of life. This is not magic, it is simply the natural resonance of energy. There was a story of a woman who was terrified of dogs. Every time she saw one, her mind would immediately fill with thoughts of fear and the expectation of being bitten. Because of this, her body would become tense, her heart would race, and she would project a vibration of intense anxiety. Dogs, being very sensitive to energy, would sense this tension and become uneasy themselves, often barking or growling at her, which only confirmed her fears. One day, she decided to try a different approach. Whenever she saw a dog, she would consciously breathe and repeat to herself, "May you be happy, may you be safe. She didn't try to pet the dog or change her behavior, she simply changed her mental intention. Slowly, she noticed a change. The dogs she encountered seemed less interested in her. They would sniff the air and then simply walk past. By changing her internal broadcast from one of fear to one of peace, she had changed the way the world responded to her. This is a simple example, but it applies to all areas of our lives. If we approach our relationships with a secret expectation of being let down, we will often act in ways that unconsciously invite that very outcome. If we approach life with an intention of discovery and appreciation, we will find that the world reveals its treasures to us at every turn. We must also be careful not to fall into the trap of spiritual vanity. Sometimes, as we begin to monitor our thoughts, we can become judgmental of our own progress. We might think, I should be more peaceful by now, or, why am I still having these angry thoughts? This self-judgment is just another form of negative intention. It is a subtle way of being unkind to ourselves. The goal is not to have a perfect mind, but to have a kind relationship with our mind. We can look at our messy thoughts with the same compassion that a mother looks at a child who has made a mess. We can say, it's okay, let's clean this up together. This attitude of gentle persistence is what allows true change to happen. It is the difference between trying to force a flower to bloom and simply providing the right soil, water, and sunlight. Our job is to provide the conditions for peace to grow, and then to trust the natural process of unfolding. We don't need to be in a hurry. The universe has been here for a long time, and the laws of karma have plenty of patience. Every small effort we make is recognized and recorded in the quiet ledger of our own character. In the ancient records, there is a mention of a person who had cultivated such a powerful intention of loving kindness that they could walk through a battlefield and the soldiers would find themselves unable to lift their weapons. The energy of peace was so dense and tangible that it acted as a physical barrier to violence. While most of us may not reach that level of mastery, we can all contribute to the collective peace by taking care of our own small corner of the mental world. When you choose not to participate in a gossip session, or when you choose to wish a difficult person well, you are adding to the global reservoir of sanity and kindness. Your thoughts are not just yours, they are part of the atmospheric pressure of the human experience. If we all decided to spend just a few minutes a day intentionally wishing for the happiness of others, the entire feeling of the planet would shift. We are far more connected than we realize. Our mental intentions are like threads in a giant web, and when we pull on one thread, the whole web vibrates. This is why the work of inner transformation is the most important work we can do. It is the only way to truly change the world. Sometimes people ask, if I have a bad thought but I don't act on it, does it still count? The answer is that it counts in the way that every drop of water counts in the bucket. A single drop may not overflow the bucket, but it changes the level. Every time we entertain a thought of ill will, we are slightly lowering the quality of our consciousness. We are making it just a little bit easier for the next negative thought to take root. Conversely, every time we let a negative thought go, we are making our mind a little more resilient and clear. It is also helpful to understand that the mind often operates on habit. Many of our negative thoughts are not even our own, they are echoes of things we heard as children, or cultural scripts that we have picked up along the way. We don't have to take these thoughts personally. We can see them as old records that are playing in the background. We can choose to stop dancing to that music and start a new melody of our own. This requires a certain level of detachment, a way of looking at our mental processes without getting caught up in the drama. Imagine your mind as a large, clear screen. Thoughts are like movies that are projected onto the screen. Some movies are beautiful and inspiring, while others are dark and disturbing. The screen itself is never harmed by the movies. Whether a movie of a great fire is playing or a movie of a gentle rain, the screen remains cool and unaffected. Our true nature is like that screen. It is the space in which the thoughts appear, but it is not the thoughts themselves. When we identify with the screen rather than the movie, we find a sense of peace that is independent of what is happening in our minds. This perspective allows us to be much more courageous in facing our inner shadows. We don't have to be afraid of a dark thought, because we know it's just a projection. We can look at it, see where it came from, and then let it fade away. This is the path of wisdom. It is the ability to see things as they are, without being overwhelmed by them. It is the realization that our intentions are the only things we truly own, and they are the only things we take with us when we leave this world. There is a story about a great teacher who was approaching the end of his life. His students asked him for one last piece of advice. He smiled and said, "Be careful with your thoughts, for they become your words. Be careful with your words, for they become your actions. Be careful with your actions, for they become your habits. Be careful with your habits, for they become your character. And be careful with your character, for it becomes your destiny." This simple chain of cause and effect reminds us that everything starts in the mind. If we want a destiny that is filled with light and joy, we must be diligent in the beginning of the chain. We must take care of our thoughts. This doesn't mean we have to be constantly policing ourselves, which would be exhausting. It means we have to cultivate a heart that naturally leans toward the good. We do this by feeding our minds with things that are beautiful, true, and kind. We do it by spending time in nature, by practicing gratitude, and by being of service to others. When we do these things, the negative thoughts find less and less room to grow. It is like a garden that is so full of healthy plants that there is no space for weeds. If we focus all our energy on pulling weeds, we will always be busy with negativity. But if we focus on planting flowers and nurturing them, the weeds will eventually be crowded out. This is the positive approach to mental karma. We focus on the light, and the shadows naturally diminish. We don't have to fight the darkness, we just have to turn on the lamp. Every time you smile at a stranger, or every time you offer a silent prayer for someone who is suffering, you are turning on that lamp. You are creating a spark of light that has the power to dispel a great deal of darkness. These small, invisible acts of mental kindness are the true currency of the spiritual life. They are what build the bridge to a higher state of consciousness. They are what make our lives truly worth living. As we continue to explore the power of intention, we might notice how our physical health is also affected by our mental state. Science is beginning to catch up with ancient wisdom, showing that chronic negative thoughts can actually weaken the immune system and cause inflammation in the body. When we are constantly in a state of mental conflict, our body stays in a fight or flight mode, which is very taxing over time. On the other hand, thoughts of compassion and peace have been shown to have a healing effect, lowering blood pressure and promoting a sense of well-being. Our thoughts are like a pharmacy that is always open. We can choose to dispense medicine or poison to our own cells. Every time we choose a thought of forgiveness over a thought of revenge, we are literally giving our body a dose of healing energy. This is another reason why taking care of our mind is the ultimate form of self-care. It is the foundation for our physical, emotional, and spiritual health. There was a man who lived in a very crowded and noisy city, yet he always seemed to be in a state of perfect calm. When people asked him his secret, he said that he practiced a technique of mental sanctuary. No matter where he was, he would imagine a beautiful, quiet garden in his mind. He would spend a few moments there every hour, breathing in the scent of the flowers and listening to the sound of a gentle stream. Because he kept this inner sanctuary clean and peaceful, the noise and chaos of the city could not touch his spirit. We can all create an inner sanctuary like that. We can fill it with our favorite memories, our highest aspirations, and our deepest feelings of love. Whenever we feel overwhelmed by the world, we can retreat to this space and find our center again. This is not about escaping reality, it is about creating a strong internal base from which we can face reality with more grace and strength. When our inner garden is well tended, we have more beauty to share with the world outside. Think of the way a candle can light another candle without losing any of its own flame. Our positive intentions are like that. When we share our peace and our goodwill with others, our own peace is not diminished, it is actually multiplied. The more we give, the more we have. This is the beautiful paradox of the spiritual life. By focusing on the well-being of others, we find that our own well-being is taken care of as a natural result. This is the true meaning of being a part of the human family. We are all here to help each other find our way back to the light. When one of us makes progress in the work of the mind, it makes it a little easier for everyone else. We are like climbers on a mountain, tied together by a common rope. When one climber finds a solid foothold, they can help pull the others up. Your inner work is not just for you, it is for everyone. So, let us be diligent in our practice, but also playful. Let us not take ourselves too seriously. The mind is a wonderful and mysterious thing, and the journey of exploring it should be an adventure. There will be surprises, there will be challenges, and there will be moments of profound beauty. Let us welcome it all with an open heart and a curious mind. Every day is a new opportunity to refine our intentions and to plant new seeds of goodness. We don't have to wait for a special occasion to be kind. We can do it in the most ordinary moments of our lives. When you are washing the dishes, you can do it with an intention of care and appreciation. When you are walking to your car, you can do it with a heart that is full of gratitude for the ability to move. These small moments are where the real work happens. In the long run, it is the consistency of our intentions that matters most. 1,000 small acts of kindness are more powerful than one grand gesture. It is the steady drip of water that wears away the stone. It is the daily practice of choosing light over shadow that transforms our character and our destiny. Let us be patient with the process, and let us celebrate every small victory along the way. As we move into the next part of our day, let us carry this awareness with us. Let us be mindful of the silent thoughts that are passing through our minds, and let us choose the ones that bring peace, joy, and understanding. Let us be the architects of a beautiful inner world, knowing that this is the most important contribution we can make to the world outside. The path is always open, and the light is always shining. All we have to do is take the next step with a clear intention and a kind heart. We are the masters of our own journey, and we have the power to create a life that is truly sublime. Let us use that power wisely, and let us walk with a spirit that is free, loving, and full of hope. Think of the sun, which shines on everything without discrimination. It doesn't ask if a flower deserves the light, it just gives. Our highest goal is to have a mind that is like the sun, a mind that radiates goodwill to all beings, simply because that is its nature. This is the state of perfect karma, where the very act of being is a source of blessing to the world. It is a state that is within reach for all of us, if we are willing to do the quiet work of tending to our thoughts. Let us be like the sun today. Let us shine our light on everyone we meet, through our thoughts, our words, and our presence. Let us be a source of warmth and comfort in a world that can sometimes feel cold and lonely. And as we give our light away, we will find that our own inner sun shines even brighter, lighting the way for us and for everyone we love. This is the beautiful dance of life, the constant interplay of intention and experience. We are the dancers and the dance itself. Let us move with grace, with compassion, and with a deep sense of joy. The music is playing, the floor is open, and the light is perfect. Let us begin again, with every breath, to create a world that is as beautiful as our highest thoughts. In the silence of our hearts, there is a wisdom that knows the way. It is a quiet voice that speaks of love, of unity, and of the profound significance of every single moment. When we quiet the noise of our judgmental thoughts, we can hear this voice more clearly. It tells us that we are enough, that we are loved, and that we have a vital role to play in the unfolding of the universe. Let us listen to that voice, and let it be our guide in everything we do. Our journey is not about reaching a destination, but about becoming more and more awake to the beauty of the present moment. It is about realizing that every thought is a brushstroke on the canvas of our lives, and that we are the artists who hold the brush. Let us paint a masterpiece of kindness, a symphony of peace, and a story of love that will inspire generations to come. As we breathe in and out, let us feel the connection between our inner world and the outer world. Let us see how our thoughts influence the people around us, and how their energy in turn affects us. We are all part of a beautiful, complex, and sacred system. Let us honor that system by being the most loving and conscious versions of ourselves that we can be. The world needs our light now more than ever. It needs our kindness, our patience, and our unwavering commitment to the good. Let us not be discouraged by the challenges we face, but let us see them as opportunities to strengthen our practice and to grow in wisdom. We are stronger than we know, and we have a reservoir of love within us that is truly infinite. Let us tap into that reservoir today and every day. Let us be the ones who choose peace, even when it is difficult. Let us be the ones who choose love, even when we are hurt. This is the true meaning of being a hero in the modern world. It is the quiet heroism of a mind that has chosen to stay kind in spite of everything. And so, with a heart that is full of peace and a mind that is clear, let us continue our walk. The path is beautiful, the company is wonderful, and the goal is certain. We are moving toward the light, and the light is moving toward us. In this sacred meeting, we find everything we have ever been looking for. We find ourselves, we find each other, and we find the true meaning of a life well lived. Consider the air we breathe, which carries no color and no form, yet it sustains every heartbeat and every living cell in our bodies. Our intentions are very much like this invisible atmosphere, providing the hidden climate in which our lives either wither or bloom. Sometimes, we might feel that because a thought of ill will is directed at a situation rather than a person, it carries no consequence. We might feel frustrated with the rain, or angry at a machine that breaks, or resentful toward a piece of bad luck. Even in these moments, where there is no human target for our malice, the quality of our internal landscape is still being shaped by the energy of irritation. The universe does not distinguish between a grudge held against a person and a grudge held against life itself, it simply registers the vibration of the soul. In the old chronicles of the mountain monasteries, there is a story of a young student who was tasked with carrying water from the stream to the kitchen every single day. The path was steep, and the buckets were heavy, and after several months, the student began to curse the stones on the path. He would whisper harsh words to the uphill climb and glare at the sun for being too hot. He never spoke these words to his teacher or his fellow students, but as he walked alone, his heart was a boiling pot of silent complaints. One morning, the teacher asked the student why the water he brought now tasted flat and heavy, while the water from the first week had tasted like Mountain Dew. The student was confused, for it was the same stream and the same buckets. The teacher explained that the student had been flavoring the water with his own resentment, and that a heart filled with complaint can turn even the purest spring water into something that does not nourish the spirit. This teaching reminds us that our mental attitude is a seasoning we add to every experience. When we look at our challenges with a mind that is ready to find fault, we are essentially poisoning our own well. The stones on the path do not care if we curse them, they remain as they are, but we are the ones who arrive at the destination exhausted and bitter. If we instead choose to see the stones as teachers of balance and the sun as a source of energy, the very same walk becomes an act of cultivation. The karma of our thought is found in the immediate quality of our endurance. By shifting the intention from one of resistance to one of acceptance, we change the chemistry of our own being, turning a chore into a path of liberation. There is a profound freedom in realizing that we do not have to be a victim of our own reactions. Many of us believe that our thoughts are a direct and uncontrollable result of what happens to us, but there is actually a tiny space between an event and our response to it. In that space lies our entire potential for growth. If someone speaks a harsh word to us, the first flash of anger might be a natural reflex, like a knee jerking when tapped. However, what happens next is where we have a choice. We can choose to feed that flash until it becomes a fire of malicious intent, or we can choose to observe it and let it pass like a stray spark. The karma is not in the reflex, but in the decision to nourish the reflex into a sustained state of ill will. During the days when the great masters walked through the villages, there was a woman who was known for her incredible patience. No matter how much chaos surrounded her, she remained like a still lake in the middle of a storm. When people asked her how she managed to stay so calm, she told them that she treated her thoughts like birds that landed on her windowsill. If a bird of anger landed, she didn't try to catch it or cage it, she simply watched it sit there, and because she didn't offer it any seeds, the bird would eventually fly away to find food elsewhere. She realized that her thoughts only had power over her if she chose to feed them. By remaining a neutral observer, she kept her internal house clean and peaceful, regardless of what was happening in the street outside. This ability to be a witness to our own minds is one of the highest skills we can develop. It allows us to see that an evil thought is not a part of who we are, but rather a temporary phenomenon passing through us. When we stop identifying with the shadows in our mind, the shadows lose their ability to influence our destiny. We begin to understand that we are the sky, and the thoughts are just the clouds. Some clouds are white and fluffy, and others are dark and heavy with rain, but the sky itself is never stained by either. It remains vast, open, and fundamentally pure. When we talk about whether evil thoughts create karma, we must also look at the concept of mental impressions. Every time we think a thought, it leaves a tiny groove in the mind, like a needle on a record. If we play the same song of resentment over and over, the groove becomes deep and the needle naturally falls into it without any effort. This is how habits of character are formed. A person who is known as a kind person is simply someone who has practiced the groove of kindness so many times that it has become their default setting. A person who is seen as bitter has simply spent more time practicing the groove of bitterness. The good news is that we can always start a new song. It might take a bit of effort at first to move the needle to a new track, but with every repetition, the new groove of goodwill becomes deeper and more natural. There was a traveler who was crossing a desert and found a small oasis. He was so thirsty that he began to drink the water quickly, but as he did, he noticed his own reflection in the pool. He looked so tired and dusty that he felt a sudden surge of self-hatred, thinking that he was a failure for being in such a state. At that moment, the water, which had been clear and sweet, began to taste like salt. He sat back and realized that his own self-judgment had changed his experience of the very thing that was saving his life. He took a deep breath, looked at his reflection with compassion, and whispered, "You are doing your best, we are almost there." When he drank again, the water was as sweet as honey. This story shows us that even our thoughts toward ourselves create a karmic ripple. If we are constantly attacking ourselves with secret thoughts of unworthiness or shame, we are creating a mental environment that is hostile to our own growth. We cannot expect to be a source of light for others if we are constantly blowing out our own candle. Compassion must begin at home. When we treat our own mistakes with the same kindness we would offer a dear friend, we are creating a positive karma that allows us to move through life with much more resilience and joy. Our minds are also deeply influenced by the intentions of those around us, even if they never say a word. There is a subtle language of the heart that we all speak, a way of communicating through the energy we project. Have you ever been in a conversation where the words were polite, but you felt a strange sense of unease or tension? This is because you were picking up on the hidden intentions behind the words. If someone is being nice to you only because they want something from you, their underlying greed creates a friction that your spirit can feel. On the other hand, when someone truly wishes you well, their presence feels like a warm embrace, even if they are just sitting in silence. By being mindful of our own intentions, we become more sensitive to the intentions of others. This is not about becoming suspicious, but about becoming more aware. We can learn to navigate the world with a kind of spiritual intuition, knowing which situations to enter and which to avoid based on the energetic climate. We can choose to be the person who brings a genuine, selfless intention into every interaction. When we do this, we are not just being nice, we are being a healing force. Our pure intention acts as a bridge that allows others to feel safe and seen, creating a space where they too might find the courage to let go of their own hidden burdens. Think of a bell that is struck. The sound travels through the air, vibrating everything in its path. Our thoughts are like the striking of that bell. The vibration goes out into the world, and even if it is too subtle for the ears to hear, it is felt by the heart of the universe. An intention of malice is a discordant note that creates tension, while an intention of love is a harmonious note that brings balance. We are the ones holding the mallet, and the music we create is the atmosphere of our lives. During the era of the great spiritual seekers, there was a man who spent all his time studying the stars. He wanted to understand the laws of the cosmos, believing that the secrets of happiness were hidden in the movements of the planets. One night, he had a dream where the stars spoke to him. They told him that they were simply reflections of the light that lived within his own mind. They said that if he wanted to understand the universe, he should stop looking up at the sky and start looking at the way he thought about his neighbors. They explained that a single thought of genuine kindness carries more light than 1,000 suns, and that a heart without malice is the true center of the universe. This perspective shifts the focus from the grand and the distant to the small and the immediate. We don't have to do anything spectacular to change the world, we just have to be mindful of the silent thoughts we have while we are walking down the street or standing in line at the grocery store. Every time we choose to see the humanity in a stranger, every time we silently wish for their day to go well, we are contributing to the light of the world. These are the invisible threads of gold that hold the human family together. Sometimes, people worry that if they have a bad thought, something terrible will immediately happen to them. This is not how the law of the mind works. It is much more like the way a diet affects the body. One unhealthy meal won't make you sick, but a lifetime of eating poorly will eventually take its toll. In the same way, one angry thought won't ruin your life, but a habit of anger will eventually create a life of conflict and stress. The goal is to cultivate a healthy mental diet, filling our minds with thoughts of appreciation, patience, and goodwill. When we find ourselves slipping into old patterns of negative thinking, we can use the technique of replacement. Instead of just trying to stop the bad thought, which can sometimes make it stronger, we can give the mind something else to do. If we feel a surge of jealousy, we can immediately think of 3 things we are grateful for in our own lives. If we feel a surge of judgment towards someone, we can silently say to ourselves, just like me, this person is seeking happiness and trying to avoid suffering. By giving the mind a positive direction, we are steering our boat away from the rocks and back toward the open sea. It is also important to remember that the universe is incredibly forgiving. The moment we change our intention, we have already begun to change our karma. There is no debt that cannot be cleared by a sincere change of heart. The past is a collection of shadows, and the present is the only place where the light can shine. If we have spent years in the dark, we do not need to spend years in the light to be warm, we only need to step into the sun. This is the beauty of the spiritual path. It is always a new beginning, and the possibility for transformation is always right here, in this very breath. Think of the way a forest recovers after a fire. At first, everything looks black and dead, but underneath the surface, the seeds are still alive. With a little rain and sun, the green shoots begin to appear, and eventually, the forest becomes even more lush and vibrant than before. Our minds have this same capacity for renewal. No matter what kind of dark thoughts we have harbored in the past, we can always regrow our inner garden. We just have to start tending to the soil of our intentions today. There was a story of a stone carver who was working on a great statue. Every time he struck the stone with his chisel, he would say a silent word of gratitude. He wasn't just carving stone, he was carving his own spirit. People who saw the finished statue were moved to tears, not just because of its beauty, but because it seemed to radiate a sense of profound peace. The carver had infused the physical object with the quality of his own mental state. This is what it means to live a life of conscious intention. We are all carving our own lives, and every thought is a stroke of the chisel. Let us be mindful of the patterns we are creating. Let us choose to carve a life that is filled with grace, with strength, and with a deep sense of connection to all living things. When we do this, our life becomes a source of inspiration for everyone who sees it. We don't have to say a word, our very presence becomes a testament to the power of a mind that is focused on the good. As we go about the rest of our day, let us practice being the gatekeepers of our own hearts. Let us notice the travelers that arrive at our gate and choose which ones we want to invite in. Let us be particularly welcoming to thoughts of kindness, of patience, and of joy. And for the others, let us simply wish them a safe journey and watch them walk away. By doing this, we are creating a sanctuary within ourselves, a place where we can always find peace, no matter what is happening in the world outside. This inner sanctuary is not just for us, it is a place where we can welcome others. When we are at peace within ourselves, we become a refuge for those who are struggling. We can offer them the gift of our calm presence and our non-judgmental listening. We can show them, through our own example, that it is possible to live in this world with a heart that is light and a mind that is clear. This is the greatest service we can offer, and it all begins with the silent work of our own intentions. Every time you choose a thought of love over a thought of fear, you are winning a great battle. You are choosing the path of the heart, the path that leads to a life of true fulfillment. This is the path we are all walking together, and every step we take is a victory for the entire human family. So let us walk with confidence, with joy, and with an unwavering commitment to the light that lives within us all. The journey of the mind is the greatest adventure of all. It is a journey that takes us to the very center of who we are, and it reveals to us the incredible power we have to shape our own reality. Let us embrace this adventure with open arms and a curious spirit. There is so much to learn, so much to discover, and so much beauty to create. As we move forward, let us remember that we are never alone. We are part of a vast and beautiful web of life, and our every thought is a thread that connects us to everyone else. Let us make those threads strong, beautiful, and full of light. Let us be the ones who choose to weave a tapestry of love, one thought at a time. And let us trust that as we do our part, the rest of the universe will do its part, bringing us the peace and the happiness we have worked so hard to cultivate. The sun is shining, the air is clear, and the path is before us. Let us take the next step with a smile and a heart that is full of goodwill. Everything we need is already within us, and every moment is an opportunity to let our light shine. Let us be mindful, let us be kind, and let us be at peace. This is the way of the wise, and it is a way that is open to each and every one of us, right here and right now. Imagine a vast library where every book is a life lived, and the ink used to write the stories is the quality of our hidden thoughts. Most people spend their lives focused only on the cover of the book, the physical actions and the words spoken aloud, yet the real substance of the story is found in the margins, in the quiet intentions that were never voiced. There is a specific kind of internal gravity that comes from the thoughts we repeat when no one is watching. If we consistently entertain thoughts of being a victim, of being treated unfairly, or of wanting to get even, we are essentially writing a tragedy for ourselves. The universe does not wait for us to commit a physical crime to respond to the energy we are putting out, it responds to the script we are writing in the theater of our own minds. In the ancient scrolls of the mountain temples, there is a legend of a potter who was famous for his elegant vases. One day, a king came to watch him work and noticed that the potter was smiling and whispering to the clay as he molded it on the wheel. The king asked if he was reciting magic spells to make the clay stronger. The potter laughed softly and said that he was simply wishing for every person who touched the vase to find a moment of stillness in their busy lives. He explained that if he worked while he was frustrated or angry, the clay would become stubborn and brittle, and the finished vase would feel cold to the touch. But when he worked with a heart full of well-wishing, the clay became soft and responsive, and the final piece seemed to carry a warmth that lasted long after it left the kiln. This story reveals a hidden truth about the nature of our world. Everything we touch and every interaction we have is flavored by the mental state we bring to it. If you prepare a meal for your family while your mind is racing with resentment about your chores, that meal will carry a different energy than if you prepared it with a heart full of gratitude for having a family to feed. You do not need to say a word for others to feel the difference. Our intentions are like invisible vibrations that permeate everything around us, influencing the mood of our homes and the quality of our relationships. This is why the practice of cleaning the mind is far more important than any external ritual. A clean mind naturally creates a clean life. There was once a young woman who worked in a very stressful environment where everyone was constantly competing and speaking ill of each other. At first, she found herself joining in, thinking that she needed to be sharp and defensive to survive. But she soon realized that even when she won an argument, she felt a hollow, aching sensation in her chest. She decided to conduct a small experiment. For one whole week, every time a coworker said something hurtful, she would not respond with words, but in her mind, she would silently offer them a thought of peace. She would say to herself, "May you find the rest you need so that you no longer feel the urge to lash out." By the end of the week, her external situation had not changed much, the coworkers were still difficult, but her internal world had undergone a radical shift. She no longer felt exhausted at the end of the day. The poison of their words could not find a place to land because she was no longer vibrating at the same frequency as their anger. She had created a mental buffer of goodwill that acted like a suit of armor. This is the true power of managing our intentions. It does not necessarily change what others do, but it completely changes how their actions affect us. We stop being reactive puppets and start being the conscious authors of our own emotional state. When we consider whether a malicious thought creates karma, we must look at the impact on our own nervous system. Every time we harbor a thought of hatred, our body releases stress hormones that age our cells and cloud our judgment. We are essentially attacking ourselves from the inside out. In this way, the punishment for a bad thought is the thought itself. We do not have to wait for a future life or a distant day of judgment to experience the consequences. The heaviness in our heart and the tension in our brow are the immediate receipts for the energy we have chosen to spend. Conversely, when we cultivate thoughts of genuine appreciation, our body relaxes, our mind clears, and we become more capable of seeing solutions where we once saw only problems. This is not just positive thinking, it is the fundamental law of mental cause and effect. A mind that is focused on light will naturally see the world as a brighter place, and a heart that is focused on love will naturally attract circumstances that reflect that love. We are like mirrors, reflecting back the quality of the light we choose to hold within ourselves. There is a beautiful story of a monk who lived in a cave and was known for having a face that looked like a blooming lotus. A traveler asked him how he stayed so young and radiant despite having so little in the way of physical comforts. The monk replied that he spent his days practicing the art of mental generosity. He explained that even though he had no money to give, he could give his attention, his patience, and his well-wishing to every bird, insect, and blade of grass that crossed his path. He viewed every thought as a gift he was sending out into the universe. Because he was constantly in the act of giving, his internal well was always being replenished with fresh, joyful energy. This concept of mental generosity is something we can all practice, regardless of our circumstances. We can practice it while we are sitting on a bus, while we are waiting for an appointment, or while we are doing mundane tasks at work. We can look at the people around us and silently acknowledge their struggles and their hopes. This simple shift in intention moves us from a state of contraction and self-concern to a state of expansion and connection. In that expansion, we find a sense of freedom that the world can never give and can never take away. Many people struggle with intrusive thoughts, those dark or strange ideas that seem to pop into the mind unbidden. They worry that having these thoughts makes them a bad person or creates terrible karma. However, it is important to understand that the mind is like a vast radio that picks up all kinds of signals from the world around it. A thought passing through is just a signal. The karma only begins when we tune in, turn up the volume, and start dancing to the music. If a dark thought appears and you simply observe it without judgment and let it fade, it is like a cloud passing across the sun. The sun is not harmed by the cloud, and the sky remains pure. The real danger is when we begin to identify with the thought, when we start to believe that the thought is who we are. When we say, "I am a hateful person because I had a hateful thought," we are giving that thought a permanent home in our character. The wise path is to realize that you are the awareness that sees the thought, not the thought itself. By staying in the position of the observer, you maintain your sovereignty over your mental landscape. You can choose which thoughts to feed and which to starve, and in doing so, you slowly but surely reshape the very fabric of your destiny. Think of a grand tree that stands tall and strong against the wind. Its strength does not come from its leaves or its branches, but from the deep, invisible roots that anchor it to the earth. Our intentions are the roots of our lives. If our roots are healthy and nourished by kindness and wisdom, we can withstand any storm that comes our way. But if our roots are rotted by malice and greed, even a small breeze can topple us over. We must spend as much time tending to our roots as we do decorating our branches. In one of the ancient parables, a teacher asked his students which was more powerful, a great flood or a quiet stream. The students naturally chose the flood, for they had seen its destructive power. But the teacher pointed out that while the flood comes and goes, leaving ruin in its wake, the quiet stream flows steadily day after day, eventually carving its way through the hardest granite. Our daily, quiet intentions are like that stream. They may seem small and insignificant in the moment, but their steady persistence has the power to transform the entire landscape of our character. Every time you choose to let go of a small irritation, you are carving a path toward a more peaceful life. Every time you choose to see the best in someone who has let you down, you are building a bridge toward a more compassionate world. These are not just small acts, they are the building blocks of a sublime existence. We must never underestimate the power of a single, pure intention. It is the grain of sand that can eventually become a pearl. As we walk through our day, let us be mindful of the silent stories we are telling ourselves about the world. Are we telling a story of scarcity and fear, or a story of abundance and possibility? The world will always provide enough evidence to support either story, so the choice of which one to believe is entirely up to us. When we choose the story of the heart, we find that the universe begins to cooperate with us in ways that feel like miracles. But these are not miracles in the sense of breaking the laws of nature, they are simply the natural results of a mind that has aligned itself with the highest laws of the spirit. Let us carry this awareness with us like a gentle light. Let us use it to illuminate the dark corners of our own minds and to warm the hearts of everyone we meet. We are the creators, the observers, and the beneficiaries of our own mental world. Let us make it a world that is worth living in, a world where every thought is a seed of peace and every intention is a prayer for the welfare of all beings. When we live this way, we find that the question of whether thoughts create karma becomes irrelevant, for we are too busy enjoying the beautiful harvest of a mind that has chosen to be kind. Consider the silence between two notes in a piece of music. Without that silence, there would be no rhythm, no melody, and no beauty. Our inner silence is the canvas upon which our intentions are painted. When we cultivate moments of stillness throughout our day, we are creating the space for more conscious and loving intentions to arise. In that silence, we can hear the whispers of our own soul, guiding us toward the path of light. We can feel the connection that binds us to all things, and we can realize that our true nature is not one of separation and conflict, but one of unity and peace. Let us cherish that silence and protect it from the noise of our own judgments and fears. Let us treat our inner world with the same reverence we would give to a sacred temple. For indeed, the mind is the most sacred space we will ever inhabit, and it is the only place where we can truly encounter the divine. When we enter that space with a heart full of goodwill, we find that the doors of wisdom swing wide open, revealing treasures that no money can buy and no thief can steal. The journey of the mind is a journey toward home, toward the realization that we have always been whole, always been worthy, and always been loved. Our intentions are the map that guides us on this journey. Let us make sure our map is clear and that it leads us toward the heart of compassion. With every kind thought, we are taking a step closer to that home, and with every breath, we are becoming more of who we were always meant to be. The sun is rising on a new day, and the slate of our mind is clean. What story will we choose to write today? What seeds will we choose to plant in the garden of our soul? Let us choose wisely, with a heart that is full of hope and a mind that is focused on the light. The universe is watching, waiting, and ready to reflect back to us the beauty we are creating in the secret depths of our own being. Think of the way a single candle can light 1,000 others without ever losing its own flame. Your peace, your kindness, and your pure intentions are that candle. When you hold a space of goodwill for someone who is struggling, you are offering them a light that can help them find their own way out of the darkness. You do not need to do anything spectacular, you just have to be the light. In doing so, you are fulfilling your highest purpose and creating a legacy of love that will ripple through the universe for eternity. As we continue this walk together, let us be grateful for the wisdom that reminds us of our own power. Let us be patient with our mistakes and persistent in our practice. And let us always remember that the most important work we will ever do is the work that happens in the silence of our own hearts. That is where the true revolution begins, and that is where the true peace is found. Let us go forward with a smile, a kind thought, and a heart that is ready to embrace all of life with love and understanding. The ocean does not fear the salt within it, for it is the very nature of its depth to hold all things without losing its vastness. Our awareness is like that infinite sea, capable of containing every passing thought of shadow or light without being fundamentally altered. Many people live in a state of constant mental combat, trying to build high walls against any thought they deem bad, as if they could keep the wind from blowing through an open window. This struggle itself creates a heavy tension, a form of internal friction that tires the soul more than the thoughts themselves ever could. When we resist a thought with anger or fear, we are actually giving it more of our life force, pinning it to the center of our attention and allowing it to take root in our consciousness. There is a story of a mountain dweller who lived in a small hut near a path where travelers often passed. One traveler arrived and was very loud, demanding, and full of complaints about the dust and the heat. The mountain dweller listened, offered a cup of cool water, and remained perfectly still. After the traveler left, a neighbor asked why he did not feel insulted by the man's rudeness. The mountain dweller replied that the man's words were like a thunderstorm in a distant valley. He could see the lightning and hear the thunder, but since he did not try to catch the rain in his own hands, he remained dry. He understood that the traveler's malice was a burden for the traveler to carry, not a gift that he was obligated to accept. This wisdom teaches us that we are not responsible for the thoughts that knock on our door, but we are entirely responsible for the ones we invite in to stay for tea. Every time we encounter a difficult person or a frustrating situation, we have an opportunity to practice this non-attachment. If we can see an evil thought as a passing weather pattern rather than a part of our identity, we break the cycle of karmic formation. The karma of a thought is like a seed that needs the soil of our identification to grow. Without our I and mine attached to it, the seed simply falls on barren rock and eventually withers away. We become truly free when we realize that we are the sky, not the clouds, and the sky never argues with the weather. Think about the concept of echo in a deep canyon. If you shout a word of anger, the canyon returns that anger to you with equal intensity. If you sing a note of joy, the canyon fills your ears with music. The world we perceive is often just the echo of our own internal state. If we find ourselves surrounded by people who seem hostile or untrustworthy, it is a gentle invitation to look within and see if we are harboring a secret vibration of suspicion or judgment. This is not to blame ourselves, but to empower ourselves. If the world is an echo, then we have the power to change the song. We can begin to whisper words of encouragement and trust in the silence of our hearts, and eventually, the echo of our lives will begin to change its tone. In the chronicles of the ancient gardens, there was a gardener who was asked how he kept the weeds from taking over his prize roses. He said that he did not spend all his time pulling weeds. Instead, he focused on making the roses so strong and healthy that they naturally took up all the nutrients and all the space in the soil. He realized that life is a competition of energies. If we fill our minds with a powerful, consistent intention of goodwill, there is simply no room left for the weeds of malice to grow. We do not have to fight the darkness, we only have to nourish the light until it becomes the dominant force in our inner world. This is the secret of effortless virtue, a state where kindness is not a choice we make, but a fragrance we cannot help but emit. Consider the way a mirror reflects whatever is placed before it. If you put a piece of rotting fruit in front of a mirror, the reflection is unpleasant, but the mirror itself remains clean, polished, and untouched. Our pure awareness is like that mirror. We can have a dark thought, a flash of envy, or a moment of greed, and the reflection in our mind may be ugly. However, if we do not cling to that reflection, if we do not move it into the permanent gallery of our heart, our inner mirror remains silver and clear. The trouble begins when we start to think that we are the reflection. When we believe we are the rotting fruit, we feel shame and heaviness, and that shame then creates more negative thoughts in a downward spiral. The path to peace is to keep polishing the mirror, to keep returning to the realization that our true self is the clarity that sees, not the image that is seen. When we live from this place of clarity, we can look at our own flaws and mistakes with a sense of humor and a great deal of compassion. We see that everyone is just a traveler trying to navigate a world of reflections, and we naturally want to help others clean their mirrors too. This shared journey of awakening is what creates a truly compassionate society. It is not built on laws and punishments, but on the mutual recognition of our shared light and our shared struggle with the shadows. There was once a master who was asked if a single thought of love could really offset a lifetime of negative thinking. He replied by asking how long a cave remains dark if it has been sealed for 1,000 years. The student said it would be pitch black. The master then asked how long it takes for the light to enter once the seal is broken. The student realized it happens in an instant. This is the radical hope of the spiritual life. We are never trapped by our past. The moment we bring the light of a pure, loving intention into our mind, the darkness of 1,000 years of habits begins to dissolve. We do not have to pay off a mountain of debt before we can start living in abundance, we only have to open the door to the sun. This doesn't mean that our old habits will disappear overnight, but it means that their power over us is broken. We can see them for what they are, old echoes and fading shadows, and we can choose not to follow them. Every time we catch ourselves in an old pattern and choose the path of kindness instead, we are breaking a link in the chain of karma. We are asserting our freedom as conscious beings. This is the true meaning of being a warrior of the spirit. It is not a battle against others, but a steady, gentle persistence in choosing light over shadow, again and again, until the light becomes our very breath. Think of the way a small flame can grow into a great bonfire if it is given enough air and wood. Our small moments of mindfulness are like those first sparks. If we protect them and feed them with our attention, they will eventually grow into a steady fire of wisdom that can burn away all our illusions and fears. We must be patient with ourselves during this process. A fire doesn't reach its full height in a second, and neither does a human heart. We start where we are, with whatever small amount of light we can find, and we trust that the light will grow if we continue to cherish it. Every interaction we have is a field of energy where we can either plant seeds of peace or seeds of conflict. When we walk into a room, we bring our internal climate with us. If we are carrying a secret grudge or a feeling of superiority, others will feel a slight chill, even if we are smiling and being polite. But if we enter with a heart that genuinely wishes for the happiness of everyone there, the room becomes a little warmer, a little brighter. We are all broadcasters of energy, and our thoughts are the signal. By taking care of our inner broadcast, we become a source of comfort and stability in a world that is often chaotic and cold. In the old stories of the Desert Fathers, there was a man who lived in total solitude, yet he felt connected to every living being on earth. He spent his days in a state of constant prayer, not for himself, but for the well-being of all creatures. He believed that his quiet, mental intentions were like invisible threads of gold that helped to hold the world together during times of trouble. He did not seek fame or recognition, he simply sat in his cell and loved the world with everything he had. This is the highest form of service, the work of the heart that goes unnoticed by the eyes but is felt by the very soul of the universe. We can all do this work, even in the middle of our busy lives. While we are standing in line, while we are sitting in traffic, while we are waiting for a phone call, we can silently project thoughts of peace and strength to those around us. We can think of a person who is suffering and send them a mental embrace. We can think of a leader who is struggling with a difficult decision and wish them a moment of clarity. These small acts of mental charity cost us nothing, yet they enrich our lives and the lives of others in ways we cannot possibly measure. They are the true currency of a meaningful life. Let us be mindful of the weight we carry in our hearts. If we are holding on to an old hurt like a precious treasure, it will eventually become a heavy stone that drags us down. Forgiveness is the act of letting go of that stone so that we can swim in the ocean of life with ease. It is not about saying that what happened was right, it is about saying that we will no longer allow the past to dictate the quality of our present. When we forgive, we are reclaiming our energy and our power. We are choosing to move forward with a heart that is light and a mind that is open to new possibilities. The journey of the mind is a journey of returning to our natural state of wholeness and joy. We are like travelers who have forgotten that they are already home. All the seeking and all the striving are just ways of trying to find what we already possess. When we quiet the noise of our demanding thoughts and the shadows of our ill intentions, we find that peace is already there, waiting for us. It is the steady background music of our existence, the quiet humming of life itself. All we have to do is listen. As we breathe in the fresh air of this moment, let us feel the incredible potential that lives within us. We are the masters of our inner world, the creators of our own experience. Let us use our power with wisdom and with love. Let us be the ones who choose the path of light, knowing that every thought of kindness is a step toward a world where everyone can feel safe, loved, and at peace. Our lives are a beautiful gift, and we have the honor of shaping them with our own intentions. Let us make them a masterpiece of grace and a symphony of goodwill. The sun is high in the sky, and the world is full of beauty and wonder. Let us look at it with eyes of appreciation and a heart that is ready to give. Every moment is an opportunity to practice, to grow, and to shine. Let us embrace each breath with gratitude and each thought with mindfulness. This is the way to a life of true happiness, a life that is in harmony with the highest laws of the universe. We are the light, we are the love, and we are the peace we have been seeking. Let us live that truth today and every day, with every thought and every intention of our souls. Consider the nature of a profound, hidden spring that feeds a great river from beneath the earth, where the water is filtered through layers of ancient stone before it ever touches the light of day. Our intentions are like that subterranean source, quiet and invisible, yet they determine the clarity and the life-sustaining power of everything that flows downstream into our visible reality. We often worry about the fruit of our lives, the successes we achieve or the things we acquire, but we forget that the quality of the fruit is a direct result of the health of the sap that flows through the tree. If the sap is poisoned by hidden malice, even a golden fruit will have a bitter core. To live with a heart free of evil intent is to ensure that the very essence of our being remains sweet and nourishing, regardless of the season or the weather. In the old accounts of the forest practitioners, there was a story of a carver who spent his entire life making small, wooden charms for children. He was not a rich man, and he lived in a simple hut, but people noticed that children who held his charms seemed to grow up with a natural sense of courage and kindness. A curious scholar once asked the carver what secret oil he used to polish the wood. The carver smiled and explained that there was no oil, but while he worked his knife, he focused his entire mind on the thought of the child's future happiness. He treated every shaving of wood as if he were carving away a piece of fear or a shadow of sorrow from the world. He believed that the wood was just a container for the silent, loving energy of his mind, and that the children were not reacting to the shape of the charm, but to the purity of the intention that gave it birth. This tells us that our work, no matter how humble, is an opportunity to practice the highest form of mental karma. Whether you are typing at a computer, cleaning a floor, or driving a vehicle, you are imprinting your mental state onto the world around you. If you perform your tasks with a secret feeling of being a slave to your circumstances, you are creating a world of friction and exhaustion. But if you infuse your tasks with a quiet intention of service and goodwill, you are turning your daily life into a sacred ritual. The karma of your thought is found in the way you feel at the end of the day. A mind that has spent hours in a state of well-wishing feels light and energized, while a mind that has been grumbling in the shadows feels heavy and depleted. There was a man who lived in a village who was very proud of his honesty, yet he found that people always seemed to avoid him. He never lied, he never stole, and he followed every rule to the letter. He went to a wise woman and asked why he felt so isolated when his conduct was so perfect. The wise woman asked him what he thought about when he looked at his neighbors. The man admitted that while he was polite, he secretly looked down on them for their flaws, their messy houses, and their lack of discipline. He felt a sense of cold superiority every time he saw someone make a mistake. The wise woman explained that while his hands were clean, his heart was a wall of ice. People were not reacting to his honest words, they were reacting to the silent, icy judgment that he projected with every glance. This icy judgment is a form of evil intent that we often overlook because it feels like we are just being realistic or discerning. However, when we use the flaws of others to build a pedestal for ourselves, we are engaging in a subtle form of spiritual violence. We are separating ourselves from the human family and creating a karmic debt of isolation. The antidote to this is to practice a mental humility that recognizes that everyone is carrying a heavy burden we know nothing about. When we see someone stumble, if our immediate internal response is one of compassion rather than judgment, we have performed a miracle of the spirit. We have chosen to be a bridge instead of a wall, and in doing so, we have lightened the load for ourselves as much as for the other person. Think of a room filled with thousands of mirrors. If you walk into that room with a frown, you are met with thousands of angry faces. If you walk in with a smile, the world reflects your own joy back to you from every angle. Our intentions are the face we show to the mirrors of the universe. When we harbor ill will, we are essentially walking into the room of life with a mask of shadows, and we should not be surprised when the world feels like a dark and unfriendly place. The secret to a bright life is not to change the mirrors, but to change the face we bring to them. This is the true meaning of taking responsibility for our inner world. We stop blaming the reflections and start attending to the original source. In the ancient times of the great scholars, there was a student who asked if a person could ever truly be free of all negative thoughts. The master replied that the goal is not to have a mind that is like a vacuum, where nothing ever enters, but to have a mind that is like a vast sky where birds can fly without leaving any footprints. A negative thought may cross the mind, just as a crow may fly across the heavens, but if you do not try to catch the crow, the sky remains untouched. The problem is not the thought itself, but the grasping and the fueling of the thought. When we learn to let the birds of thought fly by without feeding them, we find a peace that is as wide and as eternal as the blue sky above us. This state of non-grasping is the ultimate protection against bad karma. It allows us to live in the world without being of the world, to see the darkness without becoming a part of it. We can acknowledge the presence of anger or greed in our minds without letting them sit in the driver's seat of our lives. We become the silent passenger, watching the scenery of our thoughts pass by with a gentle, non-judgmental awareness. This perspective gives us the freedom to choose which path we want to follow, and it ensures that we are always moving toward the light, even when the shadows are trying to pull us in a different direction. Consider the way a single drop of dye can change the color of a whole jar of water. Our hidden intentions are the dye that colors our perception of everything we encounter. If we are carrying a secret fear, even a kind word from a friend can seem suspicious. If we are carrying a secret greed, even the beauty of a sunset can feel like something we need to own or exploit. But if we are carrying a heart of pure gratitude, even the simplest meal tastes like a feast, and even a difficult day feels like a precious gift. We are the ones who color our world, and the dye we use is the quality of our quiet, internal intentions. Let us be careful with the colors we choose. Let us reach for the vibrant hues of compassion, the soft tones of patience, and the brilliant light of wisdom. When we paint our inner world with these colors, our outer world becomes a work of art that brings joy to everyone who sees it. We don't have to be famous or powerful to have a beautiful life, we just have to be mindful of the silent brushstrokes we are making with our thoughts every single day. This is the most profound form of creativity, and it is a power that belongs to every human being, regardless of their circumstances. There was once a community of weavers who were tasked with creating a royal tapestry. Each weaver worked in their own home, and they did not see the whole pattern until the pieces were brought together. One weaver worked with a heart full of frustration, thinking only of the money she would receive. Another worked with a heart full of love, thinking of the beauty the tapestry would bring to the palace. When the pieces were finally joined, everyone could see a dull, muddy patch where the frustrated weaver had worked, while the section made by the loving weaver seemed to glow with an inner light. Even though the thread was the same, the quality of the spirit behind the work had changed the very nature of the fabric. We are all weavers of the tapestry of human history. Every thought of kindness we have, no matter how small or hidden, adds a thread of light to the collective whole. Every thought of malice adds a thread of shadow. We might think our secret thoughts don't matter because no one sees them, but they are woven into the very fabric of our shared reality. By choosing to hold intentions of peace and goodwill, we are helping to create a more beautiful and harmonious world for everyone. This is our quiet, invisible contribution to the evolution of the human soul. As we move through our day, let us be mindful of the silent vibrations we are sending out into the world. Let us notice the quality of our reactions to the people we meet and the events that unfold. Are we adding to the noise and the friction, or are we adding to the peace and the clarity? By choosing the path of the heart, we are not just helping ourselves, we are performing a sacred service for all beings. We are becoming a source of stability and grace in a world that is often spinning in confusion. This is the true purpose of our lives, to be a conduit for the light that lives within us all. Think of the way a small candle can light up a dark room. Your pure intentions are that candle. You don't have to shout or wave your hands to be seen, you just have to stay lit. Your quiet, consistent practice of holding goodwill for others is a powerful force that works in the silence, reaching out to touch hearts you may never even meet. Trust in the power of your own mind to create ripples of healing and hope. Trust in the natural law that returns every seed of goodness to you in ways you cannot yet imagine. The path is long, and there will be many opportunities to practice. Let us welcome each one with a smile and a heart that is ready to grow. Let us be patient with our own shadows and courageous in our pursuit of the light. Every breath is a chance to start again, to choose a more loving intention, and to create a more beautiful life. We are the masters of our own destiny, and the tools of creation are right here, in the quiet depths of our own thoughts. Let us use them with wisdom, with love, and with a deep sense of gratitude for the journey we are on together. May your mind be like a clear mountain stream, always fresh, always flowing, and always bringing life to everything it touches. May your heart be like a wide, open field, where everyone is welcome and everyone can find rest. And may your intentions be like the morning sun, rising with a promise of warmth and light for all the world. This is the way of the heart, and it is the way that leads us home to the true peace and joy that we have always been looking for. Consider the quiet weight of a single snowflake falling upon a frozen lake, so light that it seems to possess no power at all, yet when enough of these silent visitors gather, they can change the entire landscape and even bend the strongest branches of an ancient oak. Our hidden thoughts are much like those snowflakes, appearing insignificant in their isolation, but they are the cumulative architects of our inner world and our outward fate. Many people believe that as long as they do not act on a dark impulse, they are safe from the consequences of that energy. However, if you store a bitter liquid in a vessel for a long time, the vessel itself begins to absorb the scent and the stain of what it holds. Our mind is that vessel, and the quality of our recurring intentions inevitably seeps into our character, coloring our health, our vitality, and the very air we project to those around us. There is a story from the old mountain paths about a traveler who was carrying a heavy sack on his back. Every time he felt a moment of petty jealousy or a flash of silent anger towards someone he passed, he would pick up a small, jagged stone from the road and drop it into his sack. He told himself that these stones were just thoughts, they were not real actions, so they could not possibly hurt anyone. But as the miles went by, the sack became so heavy that his knees began to tremble and his breath grew ragged. He was so focused on the weight he was carrying that he could no longer see the beauty of the peaks or hear the song of the wind in the pines. It was only when he sat down in exhaustion that a wise elder passed by and asked why he chose to carry a bag of rocks when the path was already steep enough. The traveler realized that his silent, unexpressed malice had become a physical burden that only he could feel, but it was ruining his journey nonetheless. This reminds us that the primary victim of an evil thought is always the one who thinks it. When we harbor a secret wish for another to fail, we are constructing a mental cage where only lack and fear can live. We are essentially telling our own subconscious that the world is a place of competition and hostility, and so we begin to live in a state of constant, quiet alarm. This internal tension is the true root of what we call bad karma. It is not a bolt of lightning from the sky, but the slow, steady erosion of our own peace. By choosing to empty our sack of those jagged stones of ill will, we are not just being kind to others, we are giving ourselves the gift of a light and easy step. We are choosing to walk through life with open hands rather than clenched fists. In the ancient times of the desert teachers, there was a man who practiced the art of the radiant heart. He was asked if he ever felt the urge to judge those who were cruel or greedy. He replied that whenever he saw a person acting with darkness, he imagined that they were carrying a heavy, invisible chain that was causing them immense pain. Instead of judging the person, he chose to look at the chain with compassion, wishing for them to find the key that would set them free. By doing this, he prevented the darkness of others from entering his own soul. He realized that judgment is like a hook that ties us to the very thing we dislike. When we judge, we are catching the heavy end of the chain ourselves. When we offer compassion, we remain free, and our own light stays bright and undisturbed. This subtle shift in perception is a powerful tool for navigating a world that can often feel harsh. If we can see the malicious intentions of others as a form of suffering rather than a personal attack, we lose the desire to retaliate with our own dark thoughts. We become like the deep ocean, which remains cool and still in its depths even when the surface is whipped into a frenzy by a passing storm. Our intentions are our anchor. When we anchor ourselves in the wish for all beings to be free from the causes of their pain, we find a stability that no external event can shake. We begin to understand that even the most difficult person is just a soul who has lost their way in the fog of their own confusion, and our quiet goodwill can be a lighthouse that helps them find the shore. Think of the way a master archer focuses on the target. If the mind is steady and the intention is clear, the arrow flies true. But if the archer is distracted by a hidden thought of vanity or a fear of failure, the bow trembles and the aim is lost. Our lives are the arrows, and our intentions are the steady hand of the archer. Every moment is an opportunity to check our aim. Are we aiming toward the light of understanding, or are we letting our arrows be pulled off course by the winds of hidden resentment? By practicing a constant, gentle correction of our inner aim, we ensure that our lives move in the direction of grace. We find that we don't have to struggle so much to achieve our goals, because our internal alignment creates a natural momentum that carries us forward with ease. There was once a village where the people were known for their longevity and their vibrant health. A traveler asked the oldest woman in the village for her secret, expecting to hear about a special diet or a rare herb. Instead, she spoke about the hygiene of the heart. She explained that in their village, they were taught from childhood to treat an unkind thought like a stray spark in a dry forest. They did not wait for the spark to become a fire, they simply poured the cool water of a kind wish over it immediately. She said that a mind kept clear of the heat of malice allows the body to remain cool and the spirit to stay young. She viewed her thoughts as the very atmosphere she lived in, and she simply refused to breathe the smoke of hatred. This wisdom is available to us in every breath we take. We can choose to be the guardians of our own internal atmosphere. When a smoky thought of irritation or a dark cloud of envy appears, we don't have to let it fill the room. We can open the windows of our mind and let the fresh air of appreciation and patience blow through. This is the ultimate form of self-care. It is more effective than any medicine and more restorative than any rest. When we live in a mental environment that is clean and bright, our whole being begins to vibrate at a higher frequency. We become more creative, more resilient, and more capable of experiencing deep, authentic joy. We must also be mindful of the silence that follows our thoughts. In that silence, the seeds we have planted in our minds begin to take root. If we have spent our day cultivating thoughts of goodwill, the silence feels rich and fertile, like a garden at dusk. But if we have spent our day in the shadows of hidden ill will, the silence can feel empty and cold. By choosing to end each hour with a simple thought of gratitude or a silent wish for someone else's peace, we are nourishing the soil of our own future. We are ensuring that the harvest of our lives will be one of sweetness and abundance. The path of the heart is not about being perfect, but about being sincere. It is about the quiet, persistent effort to choose the higher road, even when no one is watching. It is the realization that every thought matters, not because a judge is recording it, but because it is the very substance of our soul. When we embrace this truth, we find a sense of profound purpose in the most ordinary moments. We see that we are never just standing in a line or sitting in a car, we are always in the process of creating ourselves. We are the artists of our own consciousness, and every intention is a stroke of the brush. Let us make our lives a masterpiece of kindness, a testament to the power of a mind that has chosen to walk in the light. Every time you choose to see the beauty in a difficult situation, you are performing an act of spiritual alchemy. You are taking the lead of a heavy experience and turning it into the gold of wisdom. This is the true meaning of the path. It is not about escaping the world, but about transforming our experience of the world from the inside out. We find that as our intentions become more pure, the world itself seems to become more cooperative and more beautiful. The people we meet seem more kind, the challenges we face seem more manageable, and the path ahead seems more clear. This is not a coincidence. It is the natural resonance of a heart that has found its home in the light of goodwill. Let us be like the sun, which gives its warmth to the weeds as well as the roses. Our kindness should not be a transaction where we only give to those who deserve it. True spiritual power comes from giving because it is our nature to give, just as it is the nature of the sun to shine. When we radiate goodwill to everyone, regardless of their actions, we become a source of true healing in the world. We become a presence that brings comfort and clarity wherever we go. This is the highest expression of the human spirit, the realization of our innate capacity to love without limits and to live without fear. As we move forward, let us hold this vision of ourselves in our hearts. Let us remember that we are the creators of our own peace and the architects of our own joy. Every kind thought is a gift to ourselves and a blessing to the world. Let us be generous with these gifts, knowing that the more we give, the more we have. Our lives are a sacred journey, and we have the privilege of walking it with a heart that is full of light and a mind that is clear and free. Let us embrace this journey with gratitude and with a deep sense of wonder at the incredible beauty of our own souls. The stars are always there, even in the middle of the day when we cannot see them. Our inner light is like those stars, a constant presence that guides us through the darkest nights. When we quiet the noise of our own judgments and the shadows of our ill intentions, we can feel the steady glow of that light. It tells us that we are part of something vast and beautiful, and that our every thought of love is a contribution to the harmony of the whole. Let us trust in that light, and let it be the steady flame that warms our hearts and guides our steps on this beautiful path of awakening. There is a peace that surpasses all understanding, a peace that lives in the quiet center of our being. This peace is our birthright, and it is always available to us when we choose the path of kindness. Let us return to this peace again and again, with every breath and every thought. Let us be the ones who bring a little more light into the room, a little more love into the world, and a little more peace into every heart. This is the way of the wise, the path of the heart, and the true meaning of a life well lived. We are the light, and we are the way. Let us shine bright and walk with grace, now and always. Consider the invisible architecture of a vast, ancient forest, where the health of the tallest canopy depends entirely on a silent, underground network of roots and fungi that share nutrients and warnings long before any sign appears on the surface. Our thoughts and intentions are the mycelium of our lives, a hidden web of connection that determines whether our external world will be a place of flourishing growth or a landscape of decay. Many of us believe that our secret feelings are like shadows that disappear the moment the sun moves, but in reality, they are more like the humidity in the air. You cannot see the water vapor, but it determines whether you feel comfortable or stifled, and it eventually gathers into clouds that bring either a life-giving rain or a destructive storm. In the forgotten parables of the mountain sages, there was a story of a young man who sought to become a master of the sword. He practiced his strikes for 10 hours a day, his form was perfect, and his speed was unmatched. Yet, in every sparring match, he found himself defeated by a much older, slower opponent. Frustrated, he asked the elder for the secret. The elder told him that while his sword was moving toward the target, his mind was already thinking about the glory of winning and the shame of losing. This split in his intention created a subtle lag, a ghost of hesitation that the elder could feel before the blade even moved. The elder explained that to be truly powerful, one's intention must be as clear and singular as a drop of morning dew. If the mind is cluttered with the desire for status or the fear of failure, the action becomes heavy and predictable. This teaching reveals that the karma of our intentions is found in our effectiveness and our connection to the present. When we do a good deed while secretly hoping for recognition, we are creating a karmic friction that prevents us from experiencing the true joy of the act. The intention of getting something in return for our giving turns a beautiful gesture into a business transaction. Our spirit feels this heaviness, and over time, we become weary of being good because we are not being nourished by the act itself. But when we give with a heart that is truly empty of self-concern, the act becomes a source of infinite energy. We find that the more we pour out, the more the well within us fills up with a clear, sparkling peace that no external reward could ever provide. There was once a village where two sisters lived, both were known for their beautiful gardens. The first sister worked with a sense of duty, constantly worrying that a single weed would ruin her reputation. She spent her days in a state of high tension, glaring at the insects and cursing the heat. Her garden was technically perfect, but people felt an odd sense of anxiety when they walked through it. The second sister worked with a heart that was full of wonder, she hummed to the flowers and felt a deep kinship with the earth. Her garden was perhaps less orderly, but it was filled with a vibrant, welcoming energy that made people want to stay for hours. The first sister's intention was one of control and ego, while the second sister's intention was one of love and participation. The karma of their thoughts was written in the very atmosphere of their homes. We often think that we can hide our internal state behind a wall of perfect behavior, but energy is the one thing that cannot be faked. People, animals, and even the plants themselves respond to the silent frequency we project. If we want to live in a world that is warm and inviting, we must first make sure that our internal fire is burning with the wood of genuine goodwill rather than the coal of resentment or the straw of vanity. Think of the way a master weaver handles a delicate silk thread. If the fingers are rough and the mind is agitated, the thread will snag and break. Our intentions are the hands that handle the threads of our destiny. Every time we catch ourselves in a moment of hidden arrogance or a secret wish to see someone else humbled, we are roughening our internal touch. We are making it more likely that our future interactions will be tangled and difficult. By practicing a constant, gentle softening of the heart, we develop a spiritual grace that allows us to move through even the most complex situations without causing harm. We become like the wind that passes through the trees without breaking a single leaf, leaving behind only a sense of freshness and movement. In the ancient records of the desert monks, there was a man who was asked how he could forgive those who had taken everything from him. He replied that he did not see it as forgiveness, but as a matter of internal hygiene. He said that to carry the memory of an injury with an intention of revenge is like keeping a rotting animal in one's living room. No matter how much incense you burn or how many beautiful words you speak, the smell of death will eventually permeate everything. He chose to release the intention of harm not for the sake of his enemies, but so that he could breathe clean air in his own soul. He realized that the greatest tragedy of an injury is not what happened in the past, but the way our reaction to it can poison our entire future. This radical clarity is what allows us to step out of the cycle of suffering. We realize that our intentions are the only things that truly belong to us, and therefore they are the only things that can truly define our happiness. If we hold on to a thought of ill will, we are giving away our power to the very person or event that hurt us. We are allowing them to live in our heads, rent-free, and to dictate the quality of our days. But the moment we replace that dark intention with a wish for our own healing and a neutral acceptance of the past, we take our power back. We become the sovereign of our own internal kingdom once again, and we find that the walls we built for protection are no longer necessary. Consider the silence of a deep valley just before the dawn. In that stillness, every sound carries for miles. Our minds are like that valley. When we quiet the noise of our external lives, we can hear the subtle echoes of our secret intentions. We can hear the quiet whisper of a judgment we made yesterday, or the soft hum of a gratitude we forgot to express. By spending time in this inner silence, we become more aware of the quality of the seeds we are planting. We start to see that a single thought of genuine kindness, held for just a few seconds, creates a ripple of light that can brighten our entire week. This is the secret of the masters. They don't do different things, they do things with a different heart. There was a story of a stone mason who was asked why he spent so much time polishing the back of a statue that would be placed against a wall where no one would ever see it. He replied that the stone would know, and he would know. He believed that the integrity of the work was not about who saw it, but about the quality of the intention that went into every stroke. This is the essence of mental karma. Even when no one is watching, even when our thoughts are hidden from every human eye, the stone of our consciousness knows. It is being shaped and polished by every silent choice we make. If we work with an intention of excellence and love, our inner statue becomes a work of divine beauty, regardless of whether the world ever applauds. Let us be mindful of the secret conversations we have in the dark. Let us choose to speak to ourselves with the same kindness and encouragement we would give to a beloved child. When we find ourselves falling into a trap of self-hatred or doubt, let us pause and remember that these thoughts are just old scripts, they are not the truth of who we are. We can choose to write a new script, one that is filled with compassion for our own journey and an unwavering belief in our capacity for goodness. By healing our relationship with ourselves, we naturally heal our relationship with the world. A heart that is at peace with itself has no reason to wish ill upon anyone else. Think of the way a single drop of clear water can refresh a parched throat. Your kind intentions are that drop of water in a world that is often thirsty for genuine care. You don't have to be a great teacher or a famous leader to make a difference. You just have to be the person who chooses to think well of others, even when it's difficult. You just have to be the one who refuses to add to the weight of the world's judgment. This quiet, invisible commitment to the light is the most revolutionary act a human being can perform. It is the foundation of a new way of living, a way that is based on connection rather than competition, and love rather than fear. Every time you choose a thought of patience over a thought of frustration, you are adding to the collective peace of the planet. You are like a cell in a great body that has decided to function with health and harmony, thereby helping the entire body to heal. Never believe that your small, internal victories don't matter. They are the only things that truly matter in the long run. They are the silent pillars that hold up the roof of the human spirit. As we walk through our day, let us be proud of these hidden choices. Let us celebrate the moments when we chose to be kind in the privacy of our own minds, for those are the moments when we are truly free. The sun is setting on the horizon, but the light within us remains steady. It is a light that is fueled by our intentions and guided by our wisdom. Let us keep this flame burning bright by feeding it with thoughts of appreciation, forgiveness, and hope. Let us be the ones who carry the warmth of a kind heart into every dark corner we encounter. And let us trust that as we do so, we are creating a life of such profound beauty and meaning that it will shine like a star for all eternity. We are the creators, and the masterpiece is our own soul. Let us make it beautiful, with every thought and every breath. Imagine the profound stillness of a deep, mountain cave, where a single drop of water has been falling from the ceiling onto the same spot on a stone floor for 1,000 years. To a casual observer, that drop seems to have no strength, yet over the centuries, it carves a hollow into the solid rock that no hammer could ever replicate with such precision. Our hidden thoughts are exactly like those drops of water. A single, fleeting ill will might seem as harmless as a mist, but the persistent repetition of a secret resentment or a quiet judgment gradually carves a permanent shape into the bedrock of our character. We do not become a bitter person in a single day, just as a stone is not hollowed by a single splash. We become the cumulative result of what we allow to drip through the ceiling of our consciousness hour after hour, and day after day. There is an old story of a master archer who was known for his ability to hit a target in total darkness. When asked how he could see the bullseye when there was no light, he replied that he did not use his eyes to find the target, but his intention. He explained that if his mind was filled with even a tiny shadow of doubt, or a secret desire to impress the crowd, the arrow would feel the weight of that thought and deviate from its path. He believed that the air between the bow and the target was not empty space, but a field of energy that responded to the purity of the archer's heart. If his intention was as clear as a mirror, the arrow would simply follow that clarity to its home. For him, the true target was never the wooden board in the distance, but the state of his own mind at the moment of release. This perspective reveals that our life experiences are the arrows we have already released. If we find that our relationships are frequently hitting the mark of conflict, or if our professional lives are missing the target of fulfillment, we must look back at the bow of our intentions. We often try to fix the arrow while it is in mid-air, but the true correction must happen at the source. The karma of a malicious thought is the subtle distortion it introduces into our aim. When we harbor a secret grudge, we are essentially trying to shoot an arrow through a thick fog of our own making. We might think we are being clever by hiding our feelings, but the universe is a perfect witness to the tension in our grip. By choosing to release the fog and cultivate a heart of transparent goodwill, we find that our lives begin to hit the mark with a grace that seems almost magical. In the ancient accounts of the desert healers, there was a man who could heal the sick simply by sitting near them in silence. People thought he possessed a supernatural gift, but he insisted that he was simply maintaining a mental environment that was so free of judgment and so full of peace that the bodies of those around him naturally remembered how to be healthy. He viewed the human mind as a powerful broadcast tower. If he broadcasted signals of fear, suspicion, or hidden ill will, he was essentially polluting the energetic water that everyone else had to drink. But by choosing to broadcast a steady signal of unconditional acceptance, he became a living medicine. He realized that our secret thoughts are not contained within our skulls, they are the very atmosphere that others breathe when they are in our presence. This makes the quality of our private thoughts a matter of public health. When we choose to forgive a stranger who was rude to us, or when we silently wish for the success of a rival, we are cleaning the air for everyone. We are like the trees that take in the carbon dioxide of the world's negativity and breathe out the oxygen of peace. This is the highest form of environmentalism, the protection and restoration of the human spirit's habitat. We do not need a grand platform to do this work, we do it in the silent gaps of our daily routine. Each time you choose a thought of appreciation over one of envy, you are planting a tree in the invisible forest of our collective consciousness, a tree that will provide shade and comfort for generations of souls you will never meet. Think of a grand clock with thousands of tiny, interlocking gears. If one gear is slightly rusted or bent, the entire mechanism begins to lose time, eventually throwing the whole system into disorder. Our intentions are the smallest gears in the clockwork of our lives. A hidden thought of me first, or a subtle desire to see another fail might seem too small to matter, but it introduces a microscopic friction that eventually grinds down the gears of our happiness. This friction manifests as a feeling of being stuck, a sense that no matter how hard we work, something is always slightly off. The rust of bad karma is nothing more than the accumulation of these tiny mental frictions. By polishing our intentions with the oil of kindness and the cloth of self-awareness, we allow the machinery of our destiny to run with a silent, beautiful efficiency. There was a traveler who arrived at a bridge guarded by a wise old gatekeeper. The gatekeeper told the traveler that to cross, he must leave all his heavy baggage behind. The traveler showed his empty hands and said he had nothing. The gatekeeper smiled and pointed to the traveler's heart, saying that the heaviest bags are the ones woven from the threads of unexpressed anger and secret vanity. He explained that the bridge was too delicate to carry the weight of a person who was still holding on to the desire to be right or the need to be superior. The traveler had to sit by the river for 3 days, consciously letting go of every hidden malice he had stored throughout his journey. Only when his heart felt as light as a feather was he allowed to step onto the bridge, and to his surprise, the crossing was so effortless that he felt as though he were walking on air. This story illustrates that the path to higher states of being is not about adding new virtues, but about subtracting the heavy intentions that keep us anchored to the ground. We often wonder why we cannot feel the heights of spiritual joy, but we forget that we are still carrying the heavy stones of our old grudges in our pockets. We don't need to learn how to fly, we just need to stop holding on to what makes us heavy. The karma of our thoughts is simply the gravity of our choices. When we choose the lightness of goodwill, the laws of spiritual gravity change, and we find ourselves rising naturally toward a life of clarity and peace. It is a process of unburdening, a joyful shedding of the skins of our past selves. Consider the silence of a library where the books are not written in ink, but in the echoes of human emotion. In such a place, you would realize that every time you had a thought of genuine compassion, you were adding a luminous volume to the history of the world. Every time you chose to be patient in your mind, you were writing a poem of peace that will never fade. We are the authors of an eternal library, and our secret intentions are the words that will be read by the soul of the universe forever. Let us be authors who write stories of hope, of healing, and of the incredible strength found in a gentle heart. Let us fill our shelves with the gold of wisdom rather than the lead of resentment. Every moment of our lives, we are standing at a crossroads. One path leads toward the narrowing of the self through judgment and ill will, and the other leads toward the expansion of the self through understanding and love. The choice is made in the quietest part of the mind, often before we even realize we are choosing. By cultivating a habit of mindfulness, we gain the ability to catch ourselves at the crossroads. We can pause, take a breath, and consciously turn toward the path of the heart. This is the ultimate freedom, the power to steer our own soul through the vast ocean of possibilities. We are not victims of our environment or our history, we are the conscious captains of our own internal broadcast. Let us be mindful of the silence we leave behind when we walk out of a room. Does the air feel lighter and more hopeful, or is there a lingering scent of tension and unspoken criticism? Our presence is a gift we give to the world, and the value of that gift is determined by the quality of our hidden thoughts. When we work on our minds, we are not just helping ourselves, we are offering a sanctuary to everyone we encounter. We become a place where people can rest, where they can feel safe, and where they can remember their own goodness. This is the true meaning of a life well lived, to be a source of light in a world that is often confused by shadows. The sun is always shining above the clouds, even on the darkest and most stormy days. Our true nature is that sun, and our intentions are the winds that can either gather the clouds or blow them away. Let us be the ones who choose the winds of kindness, the winds of patience, and the winds of joy. Let us clear the sky of our own minds so that the light can shine through and warm the world. We have the power to create a beautiful day, not just for ourselves, but for everyone, simply by choosing the quality of our secret thoughts. Let us use that power with love, and let us walk through this world with a heart that is open, clear, and full of grace. The journey of the mind is a sacred pilgrimage to the center of the heart. Every thought of love is a step toward that holy place, and every intention of peace is a prayer that is heard by the entire universe. We are never alone on this path, for we are walking it with every other soul who has ever chosen the light. Let us be grateful for the company, for the wisdom, and for the incredible opportunity to be a conscious part of this beautiful, unfolding mystery. We are the creators, we are the light, and we are the peace. Let us live that truth with every breath and every silent thought of our souls. Consider the profound mystery of a single candle flame, which can illuminate a dark cavern and provide warmth to a shivering traveler without ever losing its own essence or diminishing its strength. Our intentions are that very flame, and the quality of our inner light is what determines the path we see before us. Many people walk through life as if they are in a house with stained glass windows, complaining that the world outside is murky and gray, without ever realizing that it is the dust on the glass of their own intentions that has obscured the sun. When we harbor even a small, secret malice, we are essentially painting a dark stroke across our own window, and the reality we perceive becomes slightly more distorted and unfriendly. To live with a pure heart is to keep the glass of the soul so clear that the light of the universe can flow through us, unhindered and radiant, touching everything we see with a sense of sacred beauty. There was once a quiet village nestled in a valley where a master of the garden lived, a man whose presence was so soothing that even the wild birds would land on his shoulders. A group of students came to him and asked how he managed to maintain such a state of grace in a world filled with conflict. The master led them to a clear pond and told them to throw a handful of mud into the water. As the mud clouded the pond, he explained that the mud represented the unexpressed ill will, the silent judgments, and the hidden greeds that people carry in their minds. He told them that most people spend their lives trying to scoop the mud out with their hands, which only keeps the water turbulent and murky. The secret, he whispered, is not to fight the mud, but to stop adding to it and to allow the stillness of the mind to let the sediment settle of its own accord. The master explained that the water itself is naturally clear, just as our fundamental nature is naturally peaceful. Our only task is to be mindful of what we are throwing into the pond of our consciousness. Every time we choose a thought of forgiveness over a thought of revenge, or a thought of joy for another's success over a thought of envy, we are choosing to keep our inner waters pure. The karma of our thoughts is not an external force that judges us, but the very quality of the water we must drink from every day of our lives. If we want to taste the sweetness of life, we must be careful not to poison the source with the toxins of malicious intent. In the ancient records of the light seekers, there was a story of a woman who was known for her incredible wisdom, though she never wrote a book or gave a lecture. She simply lived her life with an intention of such profound goodwill that her very existence was a blessing to her community. Someone asked her if she ever felt the urge to think poorly of those who were dishonest or cruel. She replied that she viewed the minds of others as gardens. Some gardens were full of flowers, while others were overgrown with thorns. When she saw a garden full of thorns, she did not feel anger, she felt a deep, quiet sadness for the owner of the garden, for she knew they were the ones who had to live among the prickles and the shadows. Instead of adding her own thorns of judgment to their life, she chose to blow the seeds of kindness toward them, hoping that one day a single flower might bloom and change their world. This perspective allows us to move through the world with a heart that is wide open and a mind that is free from the burden of defense. When we realize that everyone is governed by the quality of their own mental seeds, we lose the need to take things personally. We see that the malice of another is a fire that is burning them, and our only responsibility is to make sure we do not catch fire ourselves. By maintaining a steady intention of peace, we become like a cooling rain that can help to extinguish the flames of anger in others, or at the very least, keep our own inner sanctuary safe and serene. This is the ultimate form of spiritual maturity, the ability to remain a source of light even when surrounded by the dark. Think of a great symphony where every instrument must be in tune for the music to be beautiful. Our thoughts are the notes we contribute to the collective song of humanity. If we are playing notes of discord and resentment in the privacy of our minds, the whole symphony is affected, even if no one can point to the exact source of the disharmony. But when we tune our intentions to the frequency of love and understanding, we add a richness and a depth to the music that lifts the spirits of everyone who hears it. We are all interconnected in a way that goes far beyond what we can see with our eyes. Our mental states are like the air we breathe together, and by keeping our own air clean, we are making it easier for everyone to find their rhythm and their joy. There was a traveler who came upon a massive wall that seemed to block his path forever. He sat down in despair, thinking his journey was over. But as he sat there, he began to practice a simple meditation of sending goodwill to the wall itself, thanking it for its strength and for the lessons it was teaching him about patience. In his mind, he replaced the thought of obstacle with the thought of protection. As his internal intention shifted from one of resistance to one of appreciation, he noticed a tiny, hidden door that he had missed before. The door had been there all along, but his mind of frustration had made him blind to it. This story teaches us that our intentions are the keys that unlock the doors of our reality. When we approach a problem with a mind of ill will, we are essentially trying to break the door down with our heads, which only leads to pain and exhaustion. But when we approach the same problem with a heart of patience and a clear intention of finding a peaceful solution, the doors begin to open as if by magic. The universe responds to the quality of our energy. When we are in harmony within ourselves, we find that the world begins to move in harmony with us. This is not a coincidence, it is the natural law of resonance. We attract what we are, and we find what we are looking for. Consider the sunset, which paints the sky with colors that no artist could ever fully capture. The sun does not think about being beautiful, it simply is, as a result of its own radiant nature. Our highest goal is to live our lives in such a way that our goodness is just as natural and effortless as the sunset. We reach this state by tending to our thoughts with the same care that a mother tends to a newborn child. We feed our minds with beauty, we protect them from the harsh winds of judgment, and we always return them to the warmth of the heart. When our inner world is healthy and full of light, our external actions will naturally be kind, wise, and full of grace. We don't have to try to be a good person, we simply become one, because the source of our being has been purified. As we walk through the final stages of this reflection together, let us take a moment to feel the incredible power that lives within the silence of our own hearts. We are the creators of our own destiny, the authors of our own stories, and the architects of our own peace. Every thought of love is a victory, and every intention of goodwill is a gift to the entire universe. We are never alone on this path, for the light we carry is the same light that shines in every star and in every soul. Let us hold this light with reverence and with joy, knowing that it is the most precious thing we will ever possess. May your journey be filled with the fragrance of kindness and the clarity of a mountain stream. May you walk with a light step and a heart that is free from the shadows of the past. And may you always remember that the power to change the world begins with a single, silent choice in the quiet depths of your own mind. We are the love we have been seeking, we are the peace we have been dreaming of, and we are the light that will guide us home. In this sacred realization, we find the true meaning of our lives and the eternal beauty of the human spirit. Let us shine on, with every breath, every thought, and every heartbeat, creating a world of infinite grace and unconditional love for all.